so that they can get a Stacy. There are also female incels. They are called femcells, but there's a whole controversy within the incel community because they believe, some of them, that you can't be a femcell because no matter how bad you look, according to them, you will always, as a woman, be able to get laid. And they even mention how Alana, the one who invented the term,
it's true.
she got laid and was no longer incel. But that for men, if you are in this lowest of the totem pole, then there's no hope for you. And so the only true incels can be male, according to some incels. And those incels call women femoids or foids because they don't see them as human, they see them as female humanoids. Femoids.
What?
The thing about these kinds of incels is that they do hate women, but they hate themselves more.
For all the anger,
But they hate themselves more.
subculture, people bond over self-love.
It's not funny, it's just
Fucking Christ, dude.
the way she said it was.
His pants.
The way she delivered it, it was funny.
This is what happened.
Joey says it's therapeutic, but 4 of his friends have killed themselves.
This is a post that I would like to read. It's in the Inceldom discussion board, venting, repetitive hell. It says, life is so effing difficult being incel. I have to wake up every day knowing that I'm way too unattractive to get genuine affection. Why must every other guy that's not incel get so effing adored by femoids? I want to ascend, and currently I've been lowering my calorie intake and started to jog every morning and night for a few kilometers. I'm an ogre with a fair bit of muscle mass, and I think I could do a fair bit of damage to a boy before she got her white knights to mob me. What do you think I should do, boyos? It's either cope, rope, or kill a hoe. This is a common theme
What?
that you see here where they joke about having only 3 options. Like this guy said, cope, rope, or kill a hoe. A lot of times they say it's either looks maxing, which means improving your looks so that you have a better chance, or ending it, and there is unfortunately a very high rate of suicide within the incel community. Or the third option is, they call it going full ER, which is going Elliot Rogers, going on a rampage, killing people. Now, central to this ideology that those organizations have is the whole red pill, black pill theory. Now, within the manosphere, in other men's rights communities online, there's this concept of red pilling, or taking the red pill, which if you've watched The Matrix, the blue pill, Morpheus tells Neo, you can take the blue pill, it's going to be comfortable, ignorant bliss. Or you can take the red pill, reality.
And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
And so in the manosphere, when you've taken the red pill, you're awake to the reality that it's women who are causing your suffering. Women are actually the more privileged class, men are the oppressed class, and this is all due to, the women's rights movement, this and that, and that's called taking the red pill. Taking the black pill is way more extreme, because when you take the red pill, there's still hope. And the only hope an incel has is looks maxing, which is making yourself look better. And that could include things like steroid maxing or gym selling and working out on your body, which a lot of incels try to do. But a lot of it comes down to what they believe is, quote, 3 millimeters of bone, which is their bone structure. They would say the difference between an incel and a Chad is 3 millimeters of bone structure. And there's so many memes about that. And if they were just had better bone structure, they would have a better life. This meme of 3 millimeters of bone that you see floating around is a lot of pictures of incels taking a picture of themselves and photoshopping the bone structure they want and showing how just that little change with the bone structure can change their whole life, which they call bone smashing. And so they go and they look into things like plastic surgery. There's a doctor that keeps coming up over and over again on this forum, and that is the talented Dr. Epley. Dr. Epley, some consider him controversial. He's been on some talk shows where they're like, what you're doing is unethical.
I personally would call it unethical. That's just me.
He doesn't ask any questions. He doesn't care. You want the surgery done? I can do it. Give me the money. I'm going to do it. I'm done. He's an expert in the surgeries that incels desire to become chats, temple implants, jaw implants, nose jobs, all kinds of things. If you're looks maxing and you're trying to, look better, you still have hope. The difference between an incel that stays online and an incel that goes IRL and starts killing people is whether they're red pilled or black pilled. When you are black pilled or you've taken the black pill, you have given up on looks maxing. You think there's no hope for you. I'm destined to be ugly. I'm never gonna get anyone, so why bother? At this point, life, the outlook is just, blech, there's nothing.
The coping needs to end.
It's very hopeless feeling.
You could call it a defeatist ideology. This philosophy called the black pill as opposed to the red pill. You're ugly, that's why you can't get with women, and that there's no way of stopping it, that society is built against you.
Almost all of the ones who went on shooting rampages were, in their minds, black pill. The way that the whole black pill thing started was with anger within the manosphere between the incels and the pickup artists.
So essentially, incel is an online subculture. They exist within this thing, the manosphere. It's where you find the men's rights activists, you find the MGTOW, which are men going their own way, you find the pickup artists.
The pickup artists are a group of men online who believe that with psychology and tactics, you can kind of manipulate the situation and get with anyone you want. You play mind games, you pick them up, it's what you say, how you say it, and all that. The incels are mad at the pickup artists because the incels are like, no, you're lying you're giving us false hope. It doesn't matter what line I use and how I say it. I'm black pilled, dude. I'm never gonna get anyone. There is a forum that came out within the incel community called PUA Hate, which stands for Pickup Artist Hate. Elliot Rogers was very active on that forum. He then became sainted on that forum because he was an incel that was mad at these pickup artists and their tactics that don't work for him and for many others. When you become black pilled, there's two options for you. You either LDAR, LDAR, lay down and rot. So lay down and rot, they don't care anymore, they stop trying to look smacks. Or you go full ER, meaning you go full Elliot Rogers. Now, a lot of people talk about going full ER, joke about going full ER. Most of them don't ever go full ER, but enough of them do to where this is an issue. One comment says, for example, ER was a real hero. Without him, the incel community would have never existed. This is when people believe the movement started to become more extreme.
The man is not a hero.
Maybe someone could get radicalized from being obsessed and always in these forums where it's constantly like angry and violent and frustrated and I'm gonna do this, maybe one day somebody's gonna actually stop typing and start shooting. The first one was Chris Harper Mercer. He was a self-identified incel, and he mentioned Elliot Rogers too as one of the people who's among the gods and walks among the gods and all that. And he went on a deadly rampage.
Somebody was outside one of the doors, shooting through the door.
Dispatch as many ambulances as possible.
At least 10 people dead, 7 others wounded, 3 critically. The gunman has been identified.
It's Chris Harper Mercer. Mercer lived with his mother in this apartment just 2 miles from the school. An officer could be seen questioning her outside. Before he was an alleged mass murderer, he was a failed soldier, lasting a mere month in basic training, according to the military, discharged for failing to meet the minimum standards. The ordeal ending only with the suspect shot dead by police.
Similar to Elliot Rogers, Chris left a manifesto. In this manifesto, he says, one loss after another, and here I am, 26, with no friends, no job, no girlfriend, a virgin. I long ago realized that society likes to deny people like me these things. People who are elite. People who stand with the gods. He's talking about himself. He sees himself as an elite who is being oppressed. Now, although there have been a lot of copycats or people that have, done things in Elliot Rogers' name, nobody did it like Alec Minassian.
It was Elliot Roger who was the father.
Basically, the founding forefather of the entire movement.
Right. So when did you first go on to 4chan?
2014.
2014. And specifically when in 2014?
May 23, 2014.
And how were you able to remember that?
Because I remember there was a very significant day
Okay. What was that?
That was when Elliot Rodger decided to essentially commit an uprising, a beta uprising, if you will,
Right.
against the Chads and the Stacys. It was a beta uprising.
A beta uprising. Okay.
Although he didn't call it a beta uprising at the time. Someone else who was inspired by him, by the name of Chris Harper, called it a beta uprising sometime in, actually I believe it was October 1, 2015.
What about Chris Harper Mercer? What did he do?
He used a gun for all of his murders.
And were these fellas active on 4chan?
Yes.
They were. Have you ever communicated with these fellas?
I actually have, as a matter of fact.
Who did you communicate with?
Both of them, actually.
Really?
We discussed our frustrations at society and being unable to get laid, and we were plotting a certain timed strikes on society in order to confuse and shake the foundations.
All the alpha males, so the Chads.
Yes.
So those are the people that you want to kill?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And who else?
Any of the Stacys who do not wish to give their love and affection to the incels.
So they're a target as well?
Yes.
To be killed?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So that they acknowledge the incels or the Pepe the Frog types as the more superior ones.
So you're saying things that I'm not familiar with.
Sorry.
What's a Pepe the
but he's a mascot on 4chan, and
he's a mascot?
Yes.
Oh, mascot on 4chan.
Yes.
And
I was using a metaphor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he's actually worshipped quite frequently.
Oh, okay. All right. So going back to the conversation with
by
Chris
idiots
and Elliot, who did you have conversation with first? Let me ask you that. Elliot. So how did you learn of Elliot?
Because we private messaged each other on Reddit.
Yeah.
After I saw one of his.
Oh, good, Reddit.
And we just talked about each other and got to know each other, and we found each other very interesting.
Boy, this guy's
We have the
nervous.
same, frustrations at society,
Right.
despite being separated by distance so far apart.
Right. Did you ever visit him?
No, but I wish I could have.
Yeah.
It's weird because these men are articulate and could be leaders of men if they would just have faith in themselves.
Ever come and visit you?
No.
I believe this problem is projection on everybody else, your own inner inhibitions and your inability to curb the things that cause your personality to be something that people don't want to be around. I constantly think about censoring myself. I think about how I'm looking to other people, how I'm sounding to other people. I'm not sure these people do that. I think they just sort of assume that that's going to be the problem of somebody else. But no, it is hard work to put a smile on it in this life. And if you don't set yourself up with a higher skill, you set yourself up with a higher mess. And honestly, if you want to sleep with women, if you want sexual experience or at least feel like you're not a loser, you have to knock on like 200 doors. And it sucks, but I mean, that's the lesson that I would impart as some kind of pickup artist or something. Is not like one-liners or anything like that. It's just sort of testing the waters with like 200 women. And that's hard to do. It takes a lot of time. You have to commit to it like everything else. I have cultivated relationships with women that I thought I might come back to later. You know, it's insane, but it is sort of like this thing that, you know, I mean, I swear to God, like I would still return to my ex-M if she could leave the state of Colorado, but she can't. I would still talk to her sister. I would still talk to Cloud Candy. I would still talk to so many different girls that I know. Like my friend A, I think we always were a really good pair. You know, she runs all of Denver. But she's told me this before. She was like, I've never met anybody I actually got along with, but you and I, we get along fine because you would never harm me, would you? And I was like, nope. It's easy for me to say. Ain't harming any women. I ain't fucked up like that. I'm not fucked up like that, you know? I'm not telling anybody like where you went when you travel. I'm not like I'm protecting. Like honestly, I like women so much that I like protecting them. I think of it as like Final Fantasy IX. Like Zidane had this ability called Protect Girls. And that one always hit me really hard. I have a fucking ethos of protect girls. You know what I'm saying? Quite the opposite of this incel mess. I think that's about attack girl, you know?
No, but I wish he did.
Yeah. When did you stop having communication with him?
As soon as he was deceased.
Okay.
He told me that he has to go. He is on a very important mission, and he might not make it back alive.
So what did you say to him?
I kind of had an idea in my head of what he was planning, but I didn't want to think it was true at the time. So I replied and said, I wish you good luck with that.
Right on. Okay.
I felt kind of proud of him for his acts of bravery.
Okay.
I was starting to feel radicalized at that time.
You were. Okay. And when you say radicalized, what do you mean by that?
Meaning I felt it was time to take action and not just sit on the sidelines and to just fester in my own sadness. To be honest, the planning didn't occur until about a month ago. Most of it was actually just thinking and daydreaming.
The thinking and daydreaming, when did that start?
That started about a month after the rebellion in May of 2014. I was thinking that it was a time that I stood up to the Chads and Stacys.
Alec Manassian used a van to ram into a bunch of people in Toronto, and he killed 10 and injured countless others. He envisioned himself truly in the Beta Uprising or the Incel Rebellion, like he was at war. He posted on Facebook before his attack, Private Recruit Manassian, Infantry 00010, wishing to speak to Sergeant 4chan, please. C23249161. The Incel Rebellion has already begun. We will overthrow all the Chads and Stacys. All hail the Supreme General, Elliot, Roger. And his mother said that he has Asperger's and that, he doesn't really know how to deal with people, and he pled not criminally responsible because of his mental illness. So I don't know if we're going to see how they have to prove that he didn't know what he was doing is wrong. I think that's the thing they have to prove for that. So we'll see. From the interrogation, it shows like he knew what he did was wrong.
Now, what are you thinking while you're in the van?
I'm thinking that this is it. This is the day of retribution. Just that. That's the only thing that's in my mind. It's just burning in my mind.
Burning in your mind.
Yeah. I see all these people. It's time to go for it.
Time to go for it. And what do?
I floor the pedal.
Yeah.
I speed the van towards them, and I allow the van to collide with them.
Okay. And then what happens?
Some people get knocked out of the way. Some people roll over the top of the van.
Okay. And then what happens?
I continue doing that until, in fact, actually, to be honest, the only reason I stopped my attack was because someone's drink got splashed on my windshield, and I was worried that I would crash the van anyway, so I decided, okay, now I wanted to do more, but I've kind of been foiled by a lack of visibility. So then that's when I turned right, and I saw the cops approaching, so I decided to pull over and get out of my van. So I get out, and I point my wallet at the cop with the intent for it to be confused with a gun so that I could be fatally shot.
Do you say anything to the officer?
I actually told him that I had a gun in my pocket, which was untrue.
Right.
Then I twice stuck my left hand in my pocket and attempted to do this just to provoke a reaction. That unfortunately he didn't react. Right. So then I ended up being ordered to the ground. So I knew at that point he's not going to shoot me. So I lost. So I had no choice but to just get on the ground.
After Alec did what he did on the very forums that he was on, he was hailed as a saint. Quote, I hope this guy wrote a manifesto because he could be our next new saint. And this sainting thing is very common among the incels when one of them gets radicalized and does an act of violence, they saint him. So another example of this is Saint Yoga Cell.
Saint Yoga Cell.
Okay. Hopefully this will be clear enough as well.
Oh no, he looks like me.
Now a little bit about the
Oh no, look how similar they look.
Indications of the American Nig. I see dreadlocks as the black man's mullet. That should be good for that take.
Was the gunman who shot 2 women to death at a yoga studio a woman-hating incel? In this YouTube video, he paid tribute to Elliot Rodger, a self-described incel. The shooting in Tallahassee is the 3rd murderous attack this year in which Elliot Rodger has been praised by the accused killers.
Yoga Cell's government name is Scott Paul Beerley, and you know he has perfected the duck lip pose, and he had songs like awful songs.
I saw you out, so I slipped you Rohypno in the opportunity.
We're just gonna skip through that. That sounds terrible.
He got discharged for being inappropriate with the female soldiers, so he ended up going to the yoga studio, shooting up the place, and then killing himself. And then on forums, he was declared a Saint Yoga Cell because he shot up the yoga studio, and they said, quote, that this guy is a hero. Women belong in the house, taking care of family,
This guy's a hero.
not going around yoga studios to fine-tune their bodies for the pleasure of random strangers. And
it's weird because right-wingers took over this weird incel chat. You could tell.
In 2020, there was another.
Some Hitler stepped in. I'm scared that my friend Jam might have been one of these guys, and it's why he killed his father and then himself a second later. I'm scared that my friend Jam was one of these weird incel fucking hater guys on the fucking internet. And I think he turned his anger on his father because he was gay and in the closet, and his father was the most hateful person that he knew.
2020.
It's fucked up, but I believe, and I know that he was on all the Tassi forums and stuff. He would talk about it all the time. He was on those forums, and it was weird. It was weird. And I think that that led to a disaster in my life that damn near wrecked me on the rocks. You know what I'm saying? Like, that damn near laid me out. Almost dead. Because it was like, we were brothers since we were like 13 or some shit. Like, my whole crew. We were like brothers since we were like 13 or something like that. It wrecked my crew so fucking bad. My other friend, he went through a cocaine addiction. I went through a meth addiction. Like watching, like losing a brother like that, like just to his own mind, losing him to his own mind and his own fucked up shit. I sometimes I want to judge him for killing his father and the damage that did to his sister and his mother. But I mean, it's not my place to judge, and that's where I come to my decision that it's not our place to judge what other people do. I can make a judgment call about the friends that I keep. Like, I had a friend who drunkenly fired off a suicide shot at his own head, and his wife took the gun from him while he was trying to do it. But my issue with what he did is his wife was in the room and her kids were downstairs. Now, recently, my best friend tried to say that her kids were bad people. And I was just like, you still don't shoot off a goddamn gun in a house full of your wife and your and her kids. I don't care if you think that they're bad people or that he lost his you know, it was weird. And we had a weird moral quandary there where he was like, you know, it's harsh to not forgive your friend. And I was like, I know it's harsh not to forgive my friend, but I mean, he fired off a gun in a house full of his, like a house full of his wife and his children. And I know it sounded like to my best friend that I was trying to cancel my friend Kay, But my thing is you, like, if you were a good person, you just wouldn't have ever fired off a goddamn fucking gun in a house full of kids. I don't care if they're like 18 or 19. They're still kids. You don't fire off a gun in a house full of kids and your wife. And she was in the same room as him when he did it. And he was drunk. And he went to jail for 5 years over it. And I kind of think that's what happens. And it's not my place to pass judgment. It's that I don't want my fellow Americans firing off guns in a house full of fucking kids. I just don't. And that's what I said to my best friend. Now, he thought I was being too harsh. But see, it's not. I'm not God. I'm not Jesus. Jesus wasn't there. It's not my place to judge him about what he did. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about I can't ever talk to him again because he fired off a goddamn gun in the same room as his wife and in a house full of his wife's kids. I don't care if you hate the kids or the wife. From the outside, if you look at it like a fucking like how the media would look at it, like what the media would say about it, I found it very difficult to be his friend any longer. I found it very difficult. And then when he was in jail, he had his fucking wife, who prevented him from committing suicide, contact me and ask me for a fucking reference so like somebody in his life that would tell the judge that he's not an asshole. And my response to this, and I'm not sure his wife or he understood it, was that I can't possibly be that. I can't possibly be that for you. They're currently hunting me for selling methamphetamine and heroin. They're currently hunting my business partner. Like, you know, I'm sorry, but I was a kingpin in the fucking scene. It's fucking annoying, but I know I sound like an idiot when I say I was a kingpin in the scene. But I mean, but my friends know. My friends, Cloud Candy knows. Cloud Candy knows I was slinging rocks, you know? I was slinging speed. I slang speed for 4.5 years. I can't hide it from anybody. And I was good at it. I didn't get caught till the end. And when I got caught, it was for my ex-girlfriend's dope. It wasn't even for something I did. Well, that's not true. I bought a stolen moped from a fucking drug dealer. And I can't even talk about that whole mess. That's like what I can boil it down to you. But I can't even talk about that whole fucking mess. I can only talk to you about how I bought a fucking moped for $200 off of a fucking drug dealer, and it was a stolen moped, and I caught a fucking Grand Theft Auto charge that they busted down to a misdemeanor theft. Now, am I proud of this? No. I thought of it as, oh, well, here's $200 for a worthless moped. The law thought of it as you should go to jail for Grand Theft Auto. You know. But I mean, the blue book value. My mother is still willing to talk to me, and she's the type to never speak to me again if I stole that moped. But she understood, like, when we did the blue book on the goddamn moped, that I paid $200 for it, which was more than I should have paid. It was worth like $40 and shit, and it was from 1983 or something like that. And it was a piece of shit moped, and one of the reasons that they didn't push the felony charge is they couldn't prove in court that this thing that I bought from a drug dealer was worth more than $200. We supplied the blue book, and my lawyer was like, yeah, the blue book actually is a good argument. We were surprised when the lawyer said it, but the lawyer was like, you know, the blue book is actually a really good argument. It's going to help me sway any jury or whatever. I mean, we didn't take a jury case. We had to sway the judge. But I mean, he was like, it's going to help me sway the judge. It's insane. He was like, you know, it actually is a good argument that the blue book on this fucking moped is $190. He was like, how much are you going to spend in victim fees? And I was like, $3,500. And he was like, this is stupid. And I was like, yeah, I know. I can't believe I wasted your fucking time with it. I've had conversations with lawyers like this, where they're like, you're a dummy. And I'm like, I'm not a dummy, motherfucker. They came and they put their finger on the fucking scale. I've had conversations with lawyers like that, 4 or 5 of the conversations like that in my life, where I have to convince them that they've got to give me their all to get me out of this, because they have put their finger on the motherfucking scale. Like that time they wanted to push Grand Theft Auto over a fucking $180 fucking, you know, blue book fucking value moped from 1983. You want to wreck an entire man's present and future over $180 worth of a fucking moped that they recovered, by the way, and they returned to the owner. It's not like I fucking was like, that's my moped, you can't have it. Like like I woke up in a fucking hospital jail 5 days later because I crashed the moped, and I woke up in a hospital jail because I was in a coma for 5 fucking days. I wish I was kidding. It sounds crazy, like I'm just making it up as I go, but it's not a fucking lie. I woke up in a fucking coma 5 days later, and goddamn Denver General was fucking insane. And like, I'm supposed to feel bad about all this, but I wake up in hospital jail with these cops telling me that I resisted arrest and all this crazy shit. And I was like, you mean I smacked my head into the pavement and I had a fever dream? And they were like, yeah, that's exactly what happened. They were like, we didn't know how to say it. And I was like, yeah, I smacked my head into the fucking pavement. And then I spent 5 days in a hospital jail, and I woke up cuffed to a fucking bed like I raped somebody or killed somebody. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? I haven't even broken the law besides sell drugs in like 7 years, because I know what a probation violation is. And when they despair when they hear that out of you, when you're like, yeah, I haven't actually broken the law in 7 years or something like that besides sell drugs, because I'm just not looking to, you can fuck. I used to tell, I told 2 lawyers this. I was like, you can fuck me for selling drugs if you can prove it. But I've done nothing else, and they come to this realization that the system had just put its fucking finger down on the scale and fucked me really bad. And they're like, oh God, it's actually starting to look the other way. I started to get conversations like that where my lead public defender was like, you have a case against the fucking kid. He was like, you have a case against the Denver police. And I was like, yeah, I know. But I was like, how much of that, what I answered to that? He was like, you have a serious case against the Denver police. That was my PD John. He said that to me. And I was like, I don't have anything, because you know how much time and money that would take? You ever been in that situation where you're like, I could fuck the whole Lindsay Flanagan courthouse for fucking me over. Probably sink the entire courthouse who tried to fucking to bury me under their jail. I could do that, but it's going to waste my lawyer's time. It's going to waste my money. It's going to waste his time. It's going to waste the court's time, the judge's time, the PD's time, all the witnesses' time. Like at that point, like I began to understand that the system is this whole thing based around, yeah, if you want to fight it, you can, but you better have money and you better have a lot of time. What's that sound?
Oh my God, someone's shooting at one.
That's a car alarm going off. But it's not my car alarm, so.
Hey, hurry up, please.
Search for the shooter.
What's your name? My name is Armando. Armando what? Armando Hernandez.
He describes himself as celibate. He purposely targeted couples.
He wanted these people to feel the pain that he feels.
He tells the detective.
Why? So everybody's miserable?
Like I've been humiliated.
Like, I could have been such a better incel fucking, like, faction leader thing. I would have been like, why would you guys try to make yourself miserable all the fucking time? Do you understand that you're a goddamn Debbie Downer? A negative Nelly, negative Nancy. I mean, I swear to God, like South Park used to make fun of you a lot. Are you aware of how Debbie Downer you seem right now? You've got your Walmart clothes on. You've got your arms crossed because you're not listening to anybody. You seem pissed off at women because they won't touch you, like it's their fucking job to touch you or something like that. It's not their job. You actually have to come across as somebody who is palatable to the female taste if you want to be a straight man in the dating scene. being an incel weirdo isn't gonna fucking work. That's not gonna fucking work. Like, honestly, I've never had a problem with sex because you'd be surprised how many desperate women there are. Like there's desperate women out there who are just looking for somebody to fuck them like you're their boyfriend. Ugh.
Shot dead 2 men, 2 women, and a 3-year-old girl.
I know because I have the same issue. I want a girl to fuck me like my first girlfriend did when I was 14. That's like, or 15. And that's not gonna happen. That's not gonna fucking happen. Nobody's gonna deep kiss me like that raver girl that I knew when I was 15. It's this fantasy that I have in my head. I'm very fucking aware of it. I tell the girls to their face, you don't know how to love. I said that to Cloud Candy. I was like, you don't know how to love. Like, I really feel this way a lot of the time. I'm like, you know, like I bang them. And then I'm like, during the act of it, I'm like, you don't know how to love. You will not give me any sort of gentle, loving affection, and that is what is required for fucking sex. It is weird, and it sounds like I hate them or something like this, but I don't. I'm just saying that a lot of them don't know. They've not had 40 partners. Then they just don't know what it takes to get somebody off or something like this, or to be with a girlfriend for 5 years, or to like always be there for her no matter what. She might be bummed out because of you. It doesn't matter. You fucking show up and you're like, yeah, I understand that you're mad at me, but I love you so much that I have to stand here and fight with you about being mad at me because I need you to understand me and love me or whatever. It's weird. And you show up and you show them how hard it is to be in a relationship, you know, like you show them. And this weird, you guys don't have that energy, this weird incel thing. And I know that everybody takes a shot at you and shots are fired or whatever in your weird incel speak. But I mean, you don't take the time. Like, for instance, I had a girl hit on me very recently. I'm talking like 10 days ago. I had a girlfriend hit on me at the not a girlfriend, but a girl, well, maybe a girlfriend, because I would like to fuck the girl. When I met her, I was like, I would like to fuck you. Yes. And like, it was weird. And this is incel speak, but it's weird because it was like, she came to me. I was doing a fucking stream and I shut it off when she showed up and she was like, hello. And I have it on the video. I published it. And she was like, hello. And I was like, hi. And she was like, hey, who are you? And what are you doing here? And I was like, hi, I'm a leftist streamer who does long form MMO stuff. And this is verbatim what I said. And I was scared that I might have a moment like this. So I hadn't rehearsed it or anything. I just gave her the excuse that I figured I needed to give everybody. I am an MMO lifestyle streamer on the left who feels guilty that I haven't done anything for the fucking scene. And she was like, I can relate to that. And I was like, cool. And she was like, so what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm recording a video. She says, I see that you put your cell phone in the pocket. And this was a non-plus to her. And I was like, yeah, I put the cell phone in the pocket because I figure everybody down here would prefer if they preserve their anonymity. And she was like, oh, that's actually very respectful. And I was like, yeah, I'm not down here to take advantage of anybody or anything. And it was like, and she was like, well, what are you doing now? And I was like, I'm going to walk this camera all over this whole protest. And I'm sorry, but I'm just going to go do that. Now, it felt like rejection. But the problem here is I didn't approach her. And I was taught at a very young age when I was like 13. And I knew what the problem was when she did it. The minute she said hello to me, I was like, this isn't gonna work. I knew the minute she said it, and I'm here saying it honestly on the stream. The minute that she said hello to me, I was like, oh no, this isn't gonna work. You know, it's not gonna work. It's fucking annoying. This is gonna, like, I don't have incel problems. I have this relationship isn't gonna work for me problems. When she said hello to me first, I was like, no, it could have been so beautiful. But no, I've been raised by my best friends and my mother and my first girlfriend and my second girlfriend and my third and fourth and fifth and sixth and seventh girlfriend, that you hold them after sex and you make the first move and you be that white knight and you're always there for them. And, you know, if there's something wrong with them, you come a running like a hen, because like mother hen, you know how we do. And it's weird. And the minute that she said hello to me, and I have not been able to verbalize this, I've had a lot of problems with it. I've tried to do it 3 or 4 times on my stream since then. The minute that she said hello to me, I was like, no. I didn't have a broken heart, but I was like, no, that's a fucking cultural misstep. If you came and stepped to me, I had this problem with my friend Zelly. She stepped to me and I was like, I'm sorry, but I don't do that in the modern age. I'm going to pursue the woman that I want. And I'm sorry, but that energy, it's straight male energy. You might have been used to a lot of like bi or gay male energy in your life as a woman, so you might be kind of thinking that it's okay for a woman to approach a man, and it is okay. I'm not saying that it isn't, but I wasn't trained that way by my mother. Women didn't even train me to act like that. My mother, when I was like 13 years old, she was like, it's obvious that you're in love with the girl who visits you at the bagel shop. And I was like, really? And she was like, it's very obvious that you're in love with this girl who visits you at the bagel shop, and you really like her. And I was like, I do really like this girl. And she was like, it's that special time in your life where your father, who's a deadbeat, who's never paid a cent of child support, is here to tell you, like, she like took my father's role, and she was like, I'm here to tell you that you should bang this girl. And I was like, what? My mother she didn't say it in so many words, but I'm breaking it down for entertainment purposes. My mother is like, I'm here to tell you that you should pursue this girl. And I was like, okay. And she was like, so do you know what to do? And I was like, yes, play video games and go to school. And she was like, that's a good answer, but you should also go and tell her how you feel. And I was like, okay. And my mother had to teach me all these lessons that my father should have taught me, but he was a brain dead, but he wasn't brain dead, but he was kind of brain dead. He was autistic like me. He was kind of brain dead. He didn't really get it. Like, he was autistic. He didn't understand how bad we needed him. And I needed lessons like that from him. Instead, I got it from my mother. And you think that this story is over, that I'm just using it for fucking some kind of entertainment value, but no, this story gets worse. So she's like, pursue this girl, and I was like, okay. And she was like, what do you intend to do? And I was like, well, I'm going to go to school and play video games. I don't know what to do. I don't have any money. I can't take her out somewhere. And she was like, well, save some money and buy her something. And I was like, okay, well, what do I buy her? And she was like, buy her roses. And I was like, really? That seems sort of rote and trite and sort of dry. And she was like, no, buy her a single rose. It'll show her that you care a lot, but you don't have a lot of money. And I was like, okay. So I bought her, at the advice of my mother, I bought her a fucking single rose. And as she came into my work the next time, she was hunting me, and I didn't know this, but as she came into my work the next time, she's not wanting to ask me hello. She's not doing it. And I was like, hello. And she was like, hey. And I was like, I think we have a mutual friend. And she was like, I think we do too. And I mentioned my friend L. And she was like, I really love my friend L. And I was like, I really love my friend L too. She's like a boyfriend to a bunch of my boys in my band. And I can't believe I said this about her, but I told Jay, my first girlfriend, this. I was like, she's got a reputation in my crew for being a homie hopper, and she really didn't like hearing that. But then I was like, but she's dated my entire band, and this made her laugh. Because it is true. I don't think of Elle as a homie hopper, and I think of my sexist views back then as being a shitty John Lennon kid who was like 14 who just didn't know any better. I was a fucking idiot. And I mentioned something really sexist. So like the first time that I hit on my first girlfriend who I lost my virginity to, and I was like, I believe that she's a homie hopper, and I'm here to talk to you about that. And she was like, well, she's not a homie hopper. And I was like, but she's dated my entire band, and it's damn near broken up my band. And she was like, has she ever hit on you? And I was like, no. And she was like, why? So you're the only person in the band she hasn't slept with? And I was like, yeah, I'm the only person in the band she hasn't slept with. And she was like, why? And I was like, because of you. And and I was like, because of you. And she was like, what do you mean me? And I was like, you, because of you. And I told her, I was like, you know, I think you're very special. I would like to date you. Which it's hard to reach that point in a relationship where you can say that to a girl. It's fucking hard. It's hard to do it. My problem was, and I've got to reload this video, or this girl would be very mad at me or whatever. I'm just gonna reload her video.
Caught a chilling moment in an unfolding horror.
Moment. Yeah, this weird shit. You popped me backwards and you fucked me up really bad here. So, okay, that day that I asked her out, she was like, wait, you have a rose for me? And I was like, yeah, out in my car, there's a rose in a vase for you. And she was like, what do you mean? And I was like, I have a rose in a vase for you. It's sitting out there in my car. I brought it to work because I figured you would come in today. And she was like, what do you mean you have a rose in a vase in your car for me? And I was like, I do. I've got a rose in a vase in my car for me because my mother told me to bring a rose because I really like you and I would like to date you, you know? And it's weird. I don't know how else to say it. It's weird. I told her, I was like, I don't know how else to say it more plain than that. Women, they understand that I don't have any game. They just understand my story. And when they see the rose in the vase that I brought to work on the plan that she might be there, and it wasn't some desperate story, I knew, you know, I knew. And so then one of the things that she taught me is that I need to always come to her. I mean, that is what male, straight female energy is I must come to her. And she also told me other really valuable things that I can impart to my people watching, like after you have sex with someone, you should cradle them and hold them to show them that you love them. And if you don't love them, don't have sex with them.
Didn't want to think it was true at the time, so I said...
Now, I obeyed this until I was like 33. Then I realized that probably the only sex I was going to have for the rest of my life was probably relationless sex with women from just the same backgrounds and stuff. People that maybe I met before, people I didn't meet before, and I did sleep with something like 40 women or something like that. But I was also like, no, I was taught at a very young age that I couldn't be this sexual person, that I couldn't sleep with a lot of people, that I needed to love everybody that I fucked and all this. This was something that my first girlfriend taught me, but it's not something that I truly believe. And I know she's got more partners than I do. I don't think she believed what she tried to teach me either.
So I replied and said, I wish you good luck with that. Okay. I felt kind of...
Like, so I know because like 30 of the men that she slept with are a bunch of my really close friends and stuff. And this same old homie hopper problem kind of rears its ugly head where I'm like, yeah, but you dated all of my friends, you know, it's kind of annoying. And at that point you're like, well, I just wasn't the strongest seed in that whole crop or something, where you're like, all of my best friends were kind of weighed up by some woman and none of us really held up. And at that point I started believing in myself more. Because I did go through the whole incel thing. I remember I went through the whole incel thing at the end of my Elliott Smith phase. I was like, I have been so damaged because all of my heroes are dead. Like all of my heroes, like I would go to work and I would put on a radio and I would freak out people, like the bums who would come to my store that I worked at as a cashier, like the Conoco on South Broadway. I worked at the Conoco on South Broadway, which incidentally was 6 blocks from all of my best friends' houses. So when they caught me doing meth and didn't want to be my friend anymore, I also was very aware that my friends stopped coming to my work, and that kind of rejection really fucking ruined me. And like, but the problem was I had the mass public coming into my job every day and all of their bad habits. This was true of my band. This was true of my job as a cashier. This was true of my job as a Uber driver. It was true of my job as a drug dealer. It was true of my job as a fucking, like, no matter what I did, I ran with loose women and I ran with men who didn't have good morals. Now, this is a personal weakness that I have, but the problem is I view those people, excuse me. I've had this problem since I committed suicide, or attempted to commit suicide when I was 27, where air gets impacted in my lungs. I'm sorry. And, ever since I put that rose in a vase and it landed me the greatest girl I've ever been with, I understood that romance was actually really important, probably more important than the sex. And that's fucking weird because I don't truly believe that in my man heart. I'm always going to think that sex is probably the real point of it. But romance is why I'm alive. And I began to understand that if I had some incel problem or whatever, it was that I believed that women didn't know how to love, and I had banged so many of them. I'm on the opposite side of this issue where I had banged so many of them and chased so many of them across so many different boundaries and borders and stuff. And not like some predator or something like that. So, like I did it like this personality that I have right now. But I felt that they were worth chasing, so I did. Now that is something that I think has kind of changed in the modern dating market, where you view the people that you're hunting is not hunting, but like the people that you might want to settle down with is not maybe the same caliber as you. But I mean, everybody's the same caliber as you. If they're in the same fucking class as you, they're the same caliber as you.
Proud of him for his.
I don't like talking about this stuff because it like hits so close to fucking home. But my problem was that the incel probably would have been impossible for me because my mother was like there putting the rose in the vase trying to help me get laid and shit like this. It was weird, like even at a young age. So then I'm gonna finish the story. One of the first few times I ever had sex with my first girlfriend, my mother came down to the fucking bedroom and she lectured us about protection while we were fucking. She came in the room, she sat in our fucking bed, she was like, "Are you using condoms?" And we were like, "No." And they were like, and she was like, "What is your plan for contraception?" And my ex-girlfriend was like, "I am on the pill." And she was like, oh my God. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm leaving. And I was like, "Get the fuck out of my room." And that's verbatim what happened too. And I don't like telling this story, but it does show that that my mother cared, and that it wasn't this thing about just taking advantage of some girl, and the romance meant something to me. And probably around that same time, my girlfriend taught me to just hold her after sex. She was like, "I have been raped and I'm going to cry while I have sex." And she warned me. She was like, "This is a very personal thing," but she was like, I'm going to cry while I have sex." And I was like, "Why?" And she was like, "Well, because it's a life affirming thing for me, but it's also, I was raped." And I was like, "Okay, that's okay. I don't care if you cry during sex." That sort of stuff is real romance, and I didn't have a life bereft of it, so I can't relate to people that did. probably that same week, I farted on her. I was like dominating her in bed. Like I was like not dominating her, but I mean I was like suppressing her. I was like on top of her, and I was like, I've got you. You're my prey. I'm a predator. I'm a young predator or whatever. It sounds sick and weird, but it was like, I've got you. I've captured you. You're in my bed. You're my young girl or whatever, right? I was like, I have you. And then I made the mistake of sitting on top of her and farting on her. And she was like, she slapped me hard, damn near split the skin on my face. And she was like, don't you ever disrespect me like that ever again. Then she was like, I'm leaving your fucking ass. And she got up and she got her fucking clothes and shit. And she got like off me, cause we were like, like in the bed, just wrestling and shit. We were like 16 years old or something like that. And she got off me and she was like, I'm leaving your fucking ass. And I was like, no, you aren't. And she was like, yes, I am. And she walked out of my fucking house like she was never going to speak to me again. I was like, I made a mistake. I chased her 8 blocks or something like that. She left my house. She walked out the front of my fucking door. And I was like, I am sorry that I farted on you and disrespected you. I am a 15-year-old boy who just doesn't know any better than that. And I was like, I'm sorry. I will treat you so much more respectfully than that in the future. And I chased her. And there were points there where, like, at the end of the 5th block, I was like standing in front of her, like, please don't leave me. I don't think this should end here, And she was like, I don't think it should either, but you fucked up. You treated me disrespectfully. And I was like, I'm sorry. What can I do to make up for it? And she was like, I don't know. I don't think you can. And I was like, oh, God. And I did. I farted on her. She shouldn't have forgiven it. It was disrespectful. I was young. She probably would hate that I tell this story, but I mean, I chased her for 8 blocks and talked to her for 3.5 fucking hours. And it's not like our relationship was in crisis or anything like this. We went back to our fucking my room and we banged like rabbits for like 5 hours. It wasn't that our relationship was in fucking crisis. It was that I cared enough to chase her. Now, if I hadn't learned that lesson, I might be more receptive to this girl at the No Kings protest. I would have been a little bit more okay with her approaching me. But when she approached me, I realized that no matter what, she was always gonna be the dominator in the relationship. And I'm sorry, but I believe in equality. And I'll talk like a feminist. And I'll be like, I'm sorry, but if you take my right away to be a masculine male and hit on you first, I've got to kind of wonder why that is. I've got to kind of weigh it. I've got to kind of like judge, did I fail as a man here? Did she not want to wait until I hit on her? Is she desperate? Because desperate is like, okay, desperate is the worst look that a man can have. But I mean, it's also the same worst look that a woman can have too. It's equal. It's equal. Men and women are equal. Desperate is the worst thing that you can see in a woman, and it is the worst thing that you can see in a man, because men and women are equal. So when I see desperate, I'm like, no, my mother trained me better than this. I'm supposed to date you for 10 to 30 or 40 or 50 days or something like that, and then I spring the question and I drop the roses or the flowers and I tell you that I can't stop thinking about you and all this romantic shit that plays out like some kind of fucking fantasy from who's a lot like me, as silly as much as I think this is silly to admit. I have it right here. So you want to know who's a lot like me? A hopeless romantic, right? A hopeless romantic. And I mean this. Kurt Vonnegut. There it is. It's Kurt Vonnegut's entire complete story. See it? Now, this is a fatty book. Real fatty. And I love this book, and I'm scared to read it, and I'm only through to the cruise of the Jolly Roger, right? But I've read this book before when I was like 24, 3 or 4 times, and I'm only through like a quarter of the book right now because I don't read a lot. I just pass out after working for 14 hours. But, you know, this book, right? One of the interesting things that you're taught in this book is that Kurt Vonnegut used to write for 17 magazine and I'm Giselle or whatever. I forget all the names of them. Cosmopolitan, Red Book. I mean, that's all in this book. Like in the intro, they talk about how Kurt Vonnegut was so desperate to support his family, who he loved, that he would sell anything that he could write, including romance, sci-fi, fantasy. It didn't matter what the fuck it is. And I feel the same way, right? So like, and I learned my lesson from him. My favorite Kurt Vonnegut story is about a husband coming home to his wife, and it was a Red Book. It was a Red Book story. It was in the magazine Red Book. That's a ladies' rag. You understand? And it was written by Kurt Vonnegut, and it was a story about him coming home after the war to his wife. And it was so good. And it was like such a really good story. There's no sci-fi or fantasy in it. It is still really, I don't remember the name of it. I wish I could quote it, but I'm so brain dead from all the gonzo drugs that I've done and the problems that I've been in and all the people who beat on me and all the problems that I've had, that I'm brain damaged. I don't remember the name of the fucking story. It's in this book somewhere, but digging it out would take me 5 hours. And I don't know, and it's weird. And so like I came up believing since I was like 19 years old that I could be a hopeless romantic. And when the girl hits on me first, it breaks these traditional rules about dating. That's really weird, about straight dating. And when I looked at her, I saw something that I feared was homophobia, but it wasn't. I suspected that the last 5 or 10 years of her life had been spent with women. Now, this was okay, but I have no issue with that. Like understand. But I just don't know if she was that experienced with straight males because she hit on me first. And I was like, I don't know if my first feeling that I ever get when I meet you is misgivings. This probably can't go well. Now, if I was like 24, I would have just chased her. But I'm mid-40s now. And if I chase somebody, that might be a marriage. You understand? So I'm a lot more careful about that. And I was like, no. Like as she was, and this is weird because this is a thing for me. I have a type. For some reason, girls that are 5'4" who are super beautiful, and that girl was beautiful too. Like, they hit on me for some reason when they're like 5'4" and they're like, and they see some dude who's like 6'3" who they think is their type or whatever. They like to hit on me. This is something that's happened to me several times in my life, but it's still not like, it's not really normal to like straight dating like that. Now, times have changed where the woman can speak her mind, and I really like this. I'm not against female rights and stuff, but I was raised to bring that vase. Like I have an image in my mind. I could draw it. Like I have an image in my fucking mind of what I view romance as. And you might think it's sappy and shitty and like, oh my God, who writes such rot and all this? But I'm going to take a paint program here and I'm going to draw the picture that I have in my mind. It's a very strong one. It was the left side driver's seat, the cup holder, the vase, the passenger driver's seat, and the vase. And the day that I hit on my first girlfriend, I had a beautiful rose, right? A rose. And you got to show the thorns on a rose. So we're going to show little thorns on the rose and stuff. But I had a beautiful, and this image isn't very good because it's a facsimile image of the beautiful romantic image that I have in my mind. But there's the boy in the left seat and the girl in the right seat. And I'm actually okay with it being either way. I actually am really okay with this. I'm okay if the girl takes the seat and drives. But if I don't act like the man and put the rose in the vase of the car holder, which my mother taught me to do. Mother's Rose. This is Mother's Rose in Mother's Rose, right? Mother's Rose. But I didn't know to do that stuff. I didn't know. I was a young kid. So she was like, here's how you do it. You this is Mother's Rose. You put it in a little vase and you bring it to her wherever she is the next time that she talks to you, and you just pop the question. And I was like, okay. Now, when the girl puts the rose in the vase, and it's shitty. I mean, this is really almost right-wing, almost biased shit about traditional relationships and stuff. But when the girl, there's a big G here for the girl, right? When the girl puts the fucking rose in the vase before you get a chance to, that's a fuck up. And I'm here to teach women about it. If you're a straight man, you've been taught by other people ahead of you who were good at romance, how to pursue women, how to pursue men, whatever your orientation or birth gender is or whatever. It doesn't matter. Maybe you're gay. It doesn't matter what it is. If these traditional steps are not observed, if it's like this nuclear approach, the romance is killed. And the minute that the girl said hello, and she did it loudly too. I've even got it on stream. I've got it on stream. She did it loudly too. She was like, hello at me. And she was like, hi, I'd like to get your attention here. What are you doing? And I was like, I don't know. I am streaming, but I don't want the girl hitting on me. I've been taught to believe something different. That's my job. You know, you understand? And this goes back to, and I'm the most leftist, feminist. You know, it's weird because this is a trad thing about men, but I don't think you can actually violate this thing. I think men are so fucking pig dog fucking selfish shitheads that they have to make the first move. They've been taught by their society to make the first move. The drink holder. It wasn't a car holder, it's a drink holder. Drink holder, right? The drink holder, right? So let's redraw the image like a draw my life thing. This is a draw my life thing that I really remember very strongly. There was my ex-J who took my virginity. There was me over here, the Skycatlive. There was the car seats. They were very close to each other and all this. And I just invited her to my car. And I was like, I've got to take a break for 10 minutes here from my work. And I want to take you out to my car and I want to smoke a cigarette with you. And she was like, okay. And then I pointed to the very obvious vase with the rose and the thorns and the fucking in the car, in the drink holder. And I was taught to believe that love was something so special as this, just as much as this Disney girl might be. I have Prince Charming just as much as she's got Elsa. And I've told women before in my life, and I've really hurt their feelings too. You are not my Disney princess. Now, this might sound like some incel behavior, but it's not. I've never had a problem with women. It's literally just actually doing the work that is understanding what your romantic life is, who you are, what you believe in, what romance is, what gets a girl wet, what you do to get her wet, all this other stuff, like literally all that stuff. You got to suss that out. That's all work that I don't see this guy doing. I'm sorry, but I don't see it. I don't see him putting a vase in that fucking... maybe he does later on. But see, the problem is, the vase didn't represent some kind of agreement between that girl and I. It was a promise to love her. And that's where I think you guys fail. You don't ever offer love. You offer hate.
It's a bravery. Okay. I was starting to feel radicalized at that time.
Yeah, you start to feel radicalized because you want to make these women your fucking enemy. But I mean, your whole issue is that they won't talk to you. How is this person that won't talk to you your fucking enemy? They don't talk to you.
When you say radicalized, what do you mean by that?
You hate women.
Meaning I felt it was time to take action and not just sit on the sidelines and to just fester in
You're going to go out there and be proactive and hurt women.
Sadness. To be honest, the planning didn't occur.
I don't care that you're sad, motherfucker. I know it sounds really harsh and really bully and really negative and really toxic. Almost nobody in my whole life, and I know thousands and thousands of people. I really do. I know thousands of people from east, west, north, south, G-dubs, Waldorks, all kinds of people from Washington and shit. I've slept with like 50 women just out of the thousands, you know, like it's weird. I know thousands and thousands of fucking people, right?
Until about a month ago, most of it was actually just thinking and daydreaming.
The thinking and daydreaming.
I don't think you did the work. I don't think you showed that you had the spiritual or personal growth to be a good partner. I had to learn all of it. I had to learn how to touch a woman, how to seduce a woman, how to be there for her in the darkest times, how to never, ever turn against her. I wouldn't say that a woman could ever say that I ever stabbed her in the back. That's something I've never done, because I know how sacrosanct it was to just be there solid for them and be that foundation for them. Women, when they come to date you, they come looking for a solid foundation to stand on, to go fly like Icarus, because the woman's better than you. And I mean, this is the sad state of affairs, that if you think that that's sexist, it's because you've overthought it. But I mean, she's looking for that springboard to take flight way higher than you ever went and birth a child that might be a copy of you and bear witness to the fact that you existed, and all these things that happened for men that shouldn't happen because they don't actually value it. And if you can't find your way through that maze, then you shouldn't have sex. And I don't have a lot of sympathy.
When did that start?
That started about a month.
It's sort of like you came to the Minotaur's maze, you declared yourself this hungry straight male, but then you don't do the work to go land the woman.
In May of 2014. I was thinking that it was a time that I stood up to the...
And I don't mean to shame incels. That's not what I came here to do. I want to educate like incels. Like, my mother was not like, oh, go talk to a woman, she'll sleep with you. She was like, you have to bring the rose when she doesn't expect it and stuff like this. And that's what you guys lack. It is the social media that did this to you. You think it's a like button. It's not a fucking like button. It's appreciation. If you would like to see how complicated the concept of appreciation actually is, you know, appreciation is the recognition and enjoyment of the good qualities of someone or something. When we look at you, we don't see that. And you think that it's some condemnation of you. But no, it is a shortcoming. There's nothing to appreciate about you, sir. I had to learn the hard way when I was a kid not to be an incel. You have to talk to the girl. My mother, she made me go to cotillion like fucking 3 times or something. She was like, you don't like cotillion. And I was like, I don't. And she was like, you think it's the most embarrassing thing you've ever done? And I was like, yes, it is. And she was like, it doesn't matter. If you like girls, you have to do this. Now, it's simple the way that she put it to me, you know, but I mean, it was true. If you don't go to the school dance and break the wallflower and ask some girl to do a spin with you, you aren't a man worthy of having sex with. It sounds cold, like some kind of condemnation, like I want to shame you. But no, it's just an education about what needs to change.
Used a van to ram into a bunch of people in Toronto. And
if you ever call a woman a B word, you're probably not going to do too well. I'm sorry, but that's kind of like calling a white person a honky or a black person a blank, or, you know, a Mexican a blank or something like that. If you ever go around women in your fucking personal life calling them the B word without, and honestly, it's the B word is kind of like a trophy for women who have given up their femininity. And so, like, you don't freely wield that word around ever. And so, yeah, I can count on both hands how many times I call a woman a B word. And usually it's when they're a serial killer. Because remember, the woman that gave you birth, she put 9 months into it. You didn't.
He killed 10 and injured countless others. He envisioned himself truly in the Beta uprising or the incel rebellion, like he was at war. He posted on Facebook before his attack, Private Recruit Manassian Infantry 00010, wishing to speak to Sergeant 4chan, please. C23249161. The incel rebellion has already begun. We will overthrow all the Chads and Stacys. All hail the Supreme Gentleman, Elliot Roger. And his mother said that he has Asperger's and that, you know, he doesn't really know how to deal with people, and he pled not criminally responsible because of his mental illness. So I don't know, we're going to see how they have to prove that he didn't know what he was doing is wrong. I think that's the thing they have to prove for that. So we'll see. From the interrogation, it shows like he knew what he did was wrong.
Now, what are you thinking while you're in the van?
I'm thinking that this is it. This is the day of retribution. Just that. That's the only thing that's in my mind. It's just burning in my mind.
Burning in your mind.
Yeah. I see all these people. It's time to go for it.
Time to go for it. And what do?
I floor the pedal.
Yeah.
I speed the van towards them, and I allow the van to collide with them.
Okay. And then what happens?
Some people get knocked out of the way. Some people roll over the top of the van.
Okay. And then what happens?
I continue doing that until, in fact, actually, to be honest, the only reason I stopped my attack was because someone's drink got splashed on my windshield, and I was worried that I would crash the van.
It wasn't the women that you were killing as you ran them over. It was the fact that your friend Slushy hit the goddamn windshield, you fucking shithead.
Anyway, so I decided, okay, now I wanted to do more, but I've kind of been foiled by a lack of visibility.
Yep.
So then that's when I turned right, and I saw the cops approaching, so I decided to pull over and get out of my van. So I get out, and I point my wallet at the cop, and with the intent for it to be confused at the gun so that I could be fatally shot.
Do you say anything to the officer?
I actually
You pointed your wallet at him. You know, you could go get... never mind.
My pocket, which was...
A gun? This is America. You can go get a gun, but you're faking even robbing somebody because everything about your personality is fake. including the suicide death by cop. All of that's fake too. Everything about you is fake. I need you guys to be real.
Right. Then I twice I stuck my left hand in my pocket and attempted to do this just to provoke a reaction.
Yeah, because you think that everything is going to go exactly how you plan it. If you had life experience, you would know better. If you are planning a shooting, I can tell you that the one thing that isn't going to happen is a shooting, because so many other things are going to get in your way. Life is what happens when you're making plans. If you're planning a shooting like this, you can guarantee on failure at least the first 2 or 3 times, because there's so many things in this world that you can't control with those fascist fucking fingers of yours as you point them.
Unfortunately, he didn't react. Right. So then I ended up being ordered to the ground. So I knew at that point he's not going to shoot me. So I'd lost. So I had no choice but to just get on the ground.
After Alec did what he did on the very forums that he was on, he was hailed as a saint. Quote,
you could
manifesto because he could be our next
attack a cop till he shoots you, but you're a pussy.
Is very common among the incels. When one of them gets radicalized and does an act of violence, they saint him. So another example of this is Saint Yoga Cell.
So I don't want to go through this again. We're gonna, yeah.
In 2020, there was another attack. This guy was called
Armando Jr. Hernandez.
I'm gonna be the shooter of Westgate 2020.
Oh my God, someone's shooting at Westgate. Hurry up, please.
Search for the shooter.
What's your name? My name is Armando. Armando what? Armando Hernandez.
He describes himself as celibate. He purposely targeted couples.
He wanted these people to feel pain that he feels.
He tells the detective that he was bullied in school and wanted a relationship.
Been like I've been humiliated here and there for like these past times. Loaded my magazine. I had all 3 magazines in.
I've been bullied ever since I was in like the 2nd grade, and I just don't bring it up because it's like, you know, look at it recently. I had some bully fucking swap my family. I've been bullied all of my goddamn life. Why do you think that makes you special, piece of shit?
Fire release around.
To get respect.
Yes, to get respect.
He sent a video of the attack to a girl that he was trying to impress.
He used what looks like an assault rifle,
which could probably explain why maybe he had a hard time getting a girl.
Yeah, maybe it's all the gun talk about blood and murder.
You know, like it's one thing to send a dick pic. It's another thing to send, you know, a mass shooting video that you're perpetrating. The most recent one that...
You know, it's funny. I think dick pics actually go further than a lot of other things do because it shows that you're willing to expose yourself.
Happened that triggered this...
And that actually is a big turn on for women.
The man known as Jake Davison, aged...
Not the dick pic itself, the fact that you are showing yourself to them.
22, had...
And when you understand this stuff, you understand women better.
Murdered a woman...
Like, I couldn't ever send a woman a dick pic because that's so fucking personal. It's exposing yourself to them. Like, why would you ever do that? It seems like you just basically have... thrown your relationship with them away because... Why? Because you needed them to see your dick?
An address in Biddick Drive using a firearm, then left that address.
I've never sent a dick pic, I don't think. Or I'm sorry, no, I have posted my penis on the internet many times on the Craigslist channels and forums and stuff. Craigslist Personals. I've posted my penis and my face on Craigslist Personals many times, and I expect that to come back to me later in my life, but I won't feel shame for it because I had a bunch of really awesome sexual escapades because of it, so I don't care.
Drive using a firearm, then left that address. Entered Biddick Drive.
My favorite memory almost is convincing a woman that I had never met to sleep with me, even though I was a drugged out meth addict living in a fucking burnt out restaurant. And I brought her past the burnt out restaurant to my room, which had candles in it and stuff. And I had like dressed up the place and gotten all smelly and good and took a shower and all this. And I like came at it like hard. And she was like, "You're high, aren't you?" And I was like, "Yes." And she was like, "You're a crackhead living in the top of a burnt out restaurant, aren't you?" And I was like, "Yes." And she was like, "Do you have any more?" And I was like, "Yeah, I have some speed. Yeah." And I was like, "Would you like some?" And she was like, "Yes, I was really hoping you would ask me." And I was like, "Okay, no problem." And she was like, "I have never been high on this and I really would like to know." And I was like, "I don't want to be the first time." And she was like, "You're not the first time. It's just been many, many years." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Okay." So then she was like, "I'll let you do anything to me and I'll do it willingly too, if you just get me high." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
Where he immediately shot and killed a very young girl. He also shot and killed.
And yeah, I had sex with like a middle class woman who had money in a burnt out restaurant in my hovel. I don't know how else to say it. In my hovel, because I'm not a predator. I'm not hunting her. I'm not weird. I was cute when I did it. I mean,
killed the male relative of that girl.
She was not ashamed afterwards, and she was like, "You didn't trick me." And I was like, "I know I didn't trick you. I just didn't lie."
Further along Biddick Drive, he aimed and shot at 2 local residents, a man and a woman. This was a truly shocking event and was witnessed by...
Later on, that same woman, she had me come back to a 5-star hotel in DTC, and we fucked for like 3 days, and she ordered like, I don't know, $450 worth of crazy ass Uber Eats, and she was like, "Eat food with me." And I was like, "Okay." And I just was like, "Okay, well, I can eat right now because I haven't eaten in a day or something and I'm high." But I mean, like, you know, okay. And it's weird. And she was like, "Eat with me. I'm going to order food." And I was like, "What do you want?" And I was like, "I don't know. I like pizza and Mexican." She was like, "Okay, pizza and Mexican it is." And she ordered pizza and Mexican. I was like, "I'm sorry. I'm from the lower class. I like pizza and Mexican." It's just stupid, but I do. I would really like to sip Mexican beer right now and eat Mexican burritos. She was like, "We can have anything that you can imagine from any restaurant in Denver." And I'm not bragging about this. I'm just saying that like, it was weird. My response to it was, well, there's things that I haven't had. I don't know. And she was like, "Okay." So she was just like, "Okay, we're going to order Mexican beer and Mexican burritos." And then she was like, "We're going to order," I think it was pizza. It was gourmet pizza. And I realized that when she did this, I realized that if I offer gourmet pizza and Mexican food to girls, I'll probably do better. And this worked for me for several more years. And it sounds vacuous as I say it, but I mean, like, if you offer them what they actually want, if you know that girl wants, like, I had a problem one time because Cloud Candy asked me to go to the Taco Bell when it was like 11:45 at night and it was like 0 degrees out. And I was like, "Yeah, I'm not going to walk 1.5 miles through like 1.5 feet snow to get you Taco Bell." And she was like, "You will if you like me." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So then I proceeded to walk for like goddamn 3 miles through a blizzard to buy Taco Bell that I didn't even eat. Because I know that it wasn't about the food or the fucking or the money or any of it. It was that I would drop everything and just do whatever the fuck it is that they want you to do. I don't care, you know. Now it's sexist and dumb and sort of incel and sort of what's the word, autistic to be like, you have to do whatever it is that they truly want from you. But that's the lesson that I wish to impart here, is you have to actually do whatever it is they want from you. If it's acting like a normal person, then do that. I've done that many times in my life where I was like, "Hi, I'm a creep. I'm a weirdo. What the hell am I doing here? I don't belong here. I just fucking hot railed an entire goddamn 8-ball of fucking speed with my drug dealer who's trying to bang my best friend's girlfriend. But she won't do it because he's like 50 years older or something like that. And thank God she won't. And all this weird shit like this. And I remember weird moments in my life like that where I was like, I can't get drugs because my best friend's girlfriend it won't bang my drug dealer. It's shit like this. And it's not like I want her to bang the drug dealer. I really don't. And I'm glad she didn't, because he was a hunchback from Notre Dame, quite literally. And I've met many people like that, actually, 4 or 5 people who I would qualify as the bad side of the hunchback of Notre Dame, which is some drugged out fucking pervert who's shot cocaine for 25 years and has sat up in their house worse than a video game addict for like 15 years. And now they've lost their business, lost their marriage, lost their wife, lost their family or whatever. And now they're just ready to get high on speed. And you might think that I don't know people like this, but I do. I've seen the darkest dregs of humanity, as far as it goes, pretty much on both sides of the gender and everything in between. I would say I've seen what kind of bitch a drug can make you. Listen to me talk as I say I've seen what kind of bitch a drug can make you. Hey Cloud Candy, I've seen what kind of bitch a drug can make you, or something, because it's fucked up. Like, listen to me, you can see that it's like, I don't know, these are self-created problems that I'm very used to. Now, at any given point in my life, I never gave up on chasing the most beautiful woman in my life and letting her know how much she means to me and how much I want to talk to her and how much I care what she thinks. Now, you might say that's kind of rote and fucked up and kind of sycophantic and shitty and very obvious or whatever. You know, it's, oh, who writes such rot? But I mean, that's what they want. That's what they want, you to chase them. If you're not willing to do the work, you're not a good incel.
Members of the public.
Jake Davison was deeply resentful of his lack of success with the opposite.
My God, he looks so much like my friend who shot his father in the face and then himself a second later. He looks so much like him. It's so annoying to me. I know it's a discredit to his fucking memory. I don't fucking care. I know the dark web and the internet fucking destroyed who Jan was. I don't fucking care. I know what happened to him. I know what happened and what led him where he went. I know what happened to him. All of it. I had his friends fess it up to me later after the funeral. I know what happened, but I really don't like how much this guy looks like my fucking friend who shot his father and then himself a second later. Even the fucking tufts of their muscles and shit like this, and the way their bodies look and their fucking beard and their fucking hair. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna tell you what I think. I think I see a right-winger raised by daddy, and you're never going to hear hot takes like this, but I mean, here it is, motherfucker. This comes from the rage of a dead friend, and I'm going to tell you right now, I see the rage of a right-winger who never accepted themselves, whose father didn't accept them, for some kind of weird problem that isn't a problem. It's only a problem if they think it's a problem, and they've made it everybody else's problem. Did I say it well enough? I fucking hate my friend Jan. I fucking hate him. You understand? I fucking hate this guy. This guy looks so much like him. It's disgusting.
You know, the reality is that, you know, love is for the young.
Bullshit. Bullshit. Love is eternal. It transcends all bounds. It has no age. It has no fucking anything. Your boundaries and all the problems that your right-wing fucking fascist piece of shit ass wants to put on everything. You want to categorize everything like Hitler. Everything has to be some kind of race or some kind of class or some kind of religion or everything. Everything has got to be sussed out by you. Everybody's a Chad or a fucking Stacy because everybody's a loser except you, huh?
Since been taken off message.
Everybody's a Ken or a Barbie.
I find his case a bit more intriguing is because there seem to be some self-awareness there, but it didn't really stop anything from happening. He was increasingly complaining. You know, there was footage of him trying to look smacks. He was working out at the gym, and he was really trying. And I guess he was starting to believe
that is not really trying.
At the gym.
This is a jackass on camera who is photogenically betraying himself with his terribly cringe workout video.
And he was really
I'm sorry. Is my impeccably timed burn perfect?
And I guess he was starting to believe that he was black-pilled.
Oh man, every time you talk about a color and a pill in the same sentence, I want to take a color pill.
This day and age, women have nothing but options. They do not want, need, or find average men.
What the fuck do you know about women, incel? Real question, real talk. What the fuck do you know about women besides your own mother, bitch?
And this is where
you ever had one cry to you about rape? You ever had one hug you in the coldest night in the desert? You ever had one like profess their love for you and tell you that they want to have children with you? Have you ever had this? Have you ever had somebody write you love letters? I don't think so. So you make these assumptions, and you know what they say about that.
The hopelessness came in, and you see videos of him saying like there's.
You ever had a girl say no because she loved you? Like, I had a girl tell me no to marriage because she was like, I like cocaine and dick too much. And she was like, I don't want to cheat on you, and I don't want you to be enslaved by a drug addict. And I was like, okay. Thank you for your honesty. And I loved her even more.
There's nothing more I can do.
Then she went to Laguna Beach. She made her banker money. She did cocaine, and she slept with a lot of dudes. She warned me. If you're a good man, they'll warn you.
You just don't have any willpower to do anything anymore. But dude, it's like how many years I've been working out, how many years I've been wanting and dealing with all these frustrations.
He would post pictures of his face, asking people, is he ugly?
Posing the question, am I ugly? Brutally honest, and asking users to give him their opinions.
You know, I've asked some women to marry me, and you know what their excuse is no, I'm a drug addict. And I won't do that to you. I've done it several times in my life.
The interesting thing is that he felt black-pilled, but he also was on a forum called Incel Exit, which is where incels go when they're trying to get out. And he kind of mentioned that...
Okay, here's your ticket to not being an incel. Don't go to Twitter.
This was toxic and making things worse for him.
Have you ever seen me go to Twitter on this channel? The answer is no, because I had sex with women.
Subreddit, designed for men looking for...
Subreddit. Notice how it comes up. You think I'm just doing this for the clowns or the jokes or the giggles. But no, I don't go to Reddit because I have had sex with women.
Suggesting that its toxic views had permanently corrupted him. Quote,
yeah, my views are toxic is that you are a right-wing toilet bug.
I think once you live this life, you can really ever change the damage. I personally believe my scars and damage will follow me forever. And
I mean, I'm sure. I mean, yeah.
Blames the incel's black pill philosophy for why he's feeling so hopeless. Quote, I wish I never came across all this BS. It's just as toxic, negative bullshit. It also makes you feel like any self-improvement you do is never going to be enough. Does anyone else feel this way? And this was in May, so several months before the attack. The last post he ever wrote was on August 10th, 2 days before the shooting, and he was complaining about why his posts on Facebook would not get any likes or any comments. He said, it reminds you of how forgotten you are, how little you mean. In response to all of this, Reddit has tried to ban the subreddits. It started with, there was r-incel. That was banned. And then they went from incel to braincel. That was banned. And then there was incel.co.
Incel to brain cell? Oh my god. As in, like, one single brain cell? Did you guys think that through? Jesus Christ, you've never had to worry about imaging in your whole fucking life. You were just some loser. Your whole fucking life, I just don't understand it. When I hear brain cell, I think of the single brain cell. Even the branding of it is fucking incel. Jesus Christ, brain cell as in the only brain cell in the whole lot of you?
As of this video, incel.is is up. So the point is, you're not going to get rid of any of this by just shutting down the platform.
I don't care about that platform. Who cares what happens on that platform? Norm life, baby. I talk about how much I don't care about your social media. Norm life, baby. All of this is so weird. It's so weird and dumb.
Not gonna fix
Norm life, baby.
I don't know what's gonna fix any of this, to be honest. Some people are saying this is terrorism, that it's like a radicalization, extremist, hate group, and should be treated as such.
I mean, yeah, I kind of agree. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, you guys kind of hate women, right? The women don't give you what you want, so you hate them. Oh my god. I can't believe I boiled it down to the 9 words that your whole fucking movement can't seem to say. Women never gave you what you wanted, so now you hate them.
People are like, this is a mental illness thing. I don't know. It's very complex.
It's sad.
With everything I've told you, there's a lot more that I haven't told you. I'd like to
I'm
know
sure.
what you guys think about this.
All things in moderation. Even incel. All things in moderation, even incel, is my thoughts about this. I don't care if it's dumb. I don't care if it's rote. All things in moderation, even incel. Don't do too much heroin. Don't do too much speed. Don't do too much cocaine. All things in moderation. Don't be too incel. Don't go to Reddit. Don't go to Twitter. It's simple.
I just do think, though, it's important when you, like, and I've always felt this way before any of this, is don't turn people down harshly.
No.
Man or woman or anything.
No.
I just don't.
Sorry, I'm just not really that person you're looking for right now. You know?
Be nice.
I'm sorry.
But also, just, it's rude. It's not like I would do it if I didn't think they were going to kill me. It's just rude. Someone worked up the courage to come up to you and express interest. Maybe it's awkward and you're not attracted. Or
I'm flattered. I like you.
You don't have to be a dick about it, or just be like, whatever.
I have had like 7 gay men hit on me, and I'm flattered. I'm always flattered when it happens. I'm like, oh no, it's okay. I'm not like that, And I'm flattered, but I mean, do I make them feel weird about it? No. I say, if I was, then you'd be it. I mean, I don't have to worry about that being true, because it's just not ever true. So I can make that weird lie and be like, if I was, then you'd be it. And I've had to say that like 6 or 7 times in my life, which is really annoying, But I mean, do you know how many? Okay, now I know I have impregnated 3 women in my life. Because I've had to pay for their fucking Plan Bs. I have impregnated 3 women in my life, and I'm not sure these incels can say the same thing. For instance, and you understand how expensive Plan B is? It's like $490, and I've had to buy it like 3 times because I get kind of ornery, or whatever, because It's just, you know, we can't control ourselves, you know? You ever had to buy Plan B? I did, like 3 times when I was a teenager. It's fucking dumb. Yeah, I fucked this girl and I did not use protection. And if we want a child, I better not go buy the Plan B. But if I don't want a child, I better go buy the Plan B. And that's what I did. You know, and that shit is not cheap. Like, how the fuck do you come up with $500 or $200 to $500 inside of a day, pretty much instantly? But I have done that. I have bought Plan B 3 times in my life because, you know, I actually take it seriously.
Sorry, I always say I'm in a relationship and I'm faithful, I'm happy, and it's not about you, it's me. That way I don't want to say I'm not into you, you're not.
As personal as it is, girls, they like to approach me. Never mind, I'm just gonna leave it be.
My type, I feel like that's mean, and I don't want to say that.
I don't want to say that.
At the same time,
yep.
You don't take no for an answer, kind of thing. You can't get with someone. They don't owe you to get with you.
Nope.
Thank you guys so much for watching.
Thank you.
Please subscribe if you haven't.
That was such a really good way to say it. They don't owe you anything, motherfuckers. They don't owe you their lives, even.
Hi, guys. Welcome to my YouTube channel.
I had to put on my reaching hat. Hear me out.
Rattle.
The search continues for 2 missing boys
she
in
rattled the
California
hat.
City.
The hat is actually really funny. I want to hear it again. The sound effect that she got is very funny.
Hi, guys. Welcome to my YouTube channel.
My God, she reminds me so much of my friend Shima. I wonder if it is Shima. She looks like Shima, but she's not. She's not as Costa Rican. Or, was it Costa Rican? I believe so. I don't believe she's as Costa Rican as Shima is. But if I had to peg this girl's origin, I would say Costa Rican.
My reaching hat. Hear me out.
Or Jewish.
The search continues for 2 missing boys in California City. The community has been constantly involved, trying to help the police in any way they can.
Locals have searched the Mojave Desert every day, looking for clues.
We are on the 21st of December right now. We're going to see what type of activities we can pick up on.
How many kids do you remember seeing?
3 or 4 kids.
Did you ever see the boys that came missing?
It was always really quick, like when we would be...
So, see these apartments that he lives in? This is how I lived from the age of 16 until I was like 27 or something like that. 14 years in apartment complexes exactly like this.
Coming, they would either run out that way.
If you've been here before, you've been the dude with the black shirt standing in the fucking sidewalk talking to somebody outside. If you've not been there before, you're not the lower class.
They would, like, if they were coming in, they would just come in hella fast and just go into their apartment.
This is the lot. It's like a public empty lot near the house. And this is where the infamous gate where the kids supposedly went missing.
This has been a trying investigation for officers in the small police department here in California City.
Let me dispel that right now. That's not possible.
Chief, what's not possible?
That the van was seen somewhere on their civil shadow yesterday.
No, it was seen the Sunday before they were reported.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, we can follow up on that. Sure.
We
Thanks.
reported it and never heard back.
Okay.
912 calls were made in 2014
Wow.
in California to report human trafficking. The number of reported cases are also increasing in Bakersfield.
There was a 230%.
Yeah, there's a bunch of 26-year-old dudes pimping out 17 to 22-year-old women.
An increase to the hotline.
And that led me to wonder about money. Then I found a post about Venmo transactions that Trezell made.
The boys could have been picked up by a complete stranger.
Absolutely.
In these types of cases, the majority of times, some family member or somebody known to the family is involved in abducting children.
In my experience, it's been very common, yes.
Ryan Dean is the biological mother of the 2 boys. She and the 2 biological fathers of the children came to the house today to figure out what was happening.
We just spoke to the biological mother. She says she had a conversation with you guys, and that she thinks there's some kind of foul play involved. That she thinks you guys did something.
And that's understandable.
What's your response to that?
That's understandable. I would think the same thing.
Yep. I mean, everybody's making their own their own conclusions. They don't know anything. We're not sure like everything. We're not sure.
Thank you for clicking. Today I want to do another one of my All the Suspicious Things About series. If you don't know, this is a series that I'm
going to have some ice cream. I think ice cream and tinfoil hat is a pretty good girls' night out. Cookie dough.
Someone or something about a case that I've been following where I talk about all the suspicious things about it. As usual, I give you guys the facts, we talk about the theories, and then you can decide for yourself. If you've been here before, you know that before I begin, I have to give my thanks to my returning subscribers, old and new. Thank you guys so very much, and I've gotten some new subscribers. I appreciate you guys. Welcome. And of course my OGs, you guys are the best, you know that. And if you are new here, hi, this is me. I wear a tinfoil hat while I talk about true crime and conspiracies, especially cases where it's both, like this one. So
true crime and conspiracy.
Let's dive in. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to talk about all the suspicious things about Trezell and Jacqueline West in the context of the timeline, just so that we can kind of wrap our heads around it and make it make sense. Also, I'm going to be talking about other theories, not just Trezell and Jacqueline, although that is the main focus. I'm going to talk about the Bio family. I'm going to talk about other potential things like kidnapping, abductions, other theories other than that they're guilty. But I'm going to go where the facts lead me, and unfortunately, this is where they led me. So I want to start at the very beginning. I'm talking about before Orrin and Orson were even adopted, okay? Because as I was doing my research, as I was, looking at the feedback I was getting in my comments, a lot of people did think that adoptive parents were suspicious, but a lot of people also were talking about the bio mom. Something seems off about the bio mom. Why is she crying but there are no tears? Why were the kids taken away? They weren't just taken away for no reason. These are the comments that I got. So I decided to look into it. So let's start there, when the kids were taken away. Now I'm going to give it to you straight from the horse's mouth. The mother herself, she goes by Brian Dean, and also on social media she goes by Paprika Dean. And she has posted some comments on Facebook, as well as family members of hers, the other foster family before the Wests adopted the boys. So let me read you some of those comments. So first off, you see that, her latest post as of me filming this is pretty sad. It's basically her talking about, mommy, so sorry, babies, and then hashtag cruel ass world. And then she has the fact that the reward has been increased to now $80,000. And she also talks about, how she hasn't slept. And first of all, I want to tell you guys their birth names are actually Sincere with a C and Classic. Okay, those are the names that
she like Belly
gave her sons. And then once they were adopted by Jacqueline and Trezell, they named them, as they said themselves in their interview.
We were entrusted with her children, and they came to us, and they became our children, and we named them.
All right, so let's start with this post here, and it begins with, they were in foster care. Yes, I have certificates completing both parenting classes. Yes, they were placed in foster care upon me getting off work, and my son cry was not normal. I took him to the hospital being a responsible parent, and they took my child from there. I fought hard to get them back. Those that know me personally knows I was trying to do all the classes, maintain a household, and go to work so that they would have something to come back to, even though they had everything they needed and a good home when they got took. And they only took Classic because he was a relative to Sincere, my son, and I just had him and got him out of the NICU due to him being 4 pounds and me having him early because of the stress of trying to get his older brother back before he
Methamphetamine
came along. I originally took Sincere the hospital, I'm sure she means to the hospital, because I felt there was something wrong with him when I got off work. Only thing that I did not comply with was the drug counseling classes because I did smoke marijuana here and there. But that's nothing that's going to make me unfit for my kids, and I had medical marijuana card, and the Ebony counseling would not treat me for marijuana, which is legal, and that's what they said. I even presented a letter to the judge with them stating they don't want to counsel me because it's just marijuana. It's legal, and I have a medical marijuana card. The judge turned me down and said, well, go find something. I did what I had to do. And those who know me personally know I love kids. I don't care if a kid is purple, blue, red, pink, I still love any child. And those who knows me personally knows this should have never happened to me. So before MFers want to judge, understand the person and the story on why certain shit happened. Thank you. Have a blessed night.
Methamphetamine. Methamphetamine.
Comment she made where she references the other foster parent, the one that had the kids before the Wests adopted them. And then that person has a comment, and then we get another comment from her father, and then yet another one from her sister. Let's start with the bio mom's other post. So she goes, and come to think of it, I was switched social workers when I seen that the lady who supervised the visit was writing false statements about what one of the fathers was saying during the visit. Keep in mind, Oren and Orson, or Classic and Sincere, have different fathers. So this is who she's referencing, was saying during the visit, and he didn't say nothing like how she wrote it, and they lied in the paperwork saying LaToya, low tolerance spry, told them she heard the parents tell Sincere to shut up in visit, which was a lie. She did not say that to them. I brought that to everyone's attention, and LaToya, so LaToya is, the other foster mom. So LaToya even called them and told them she didn't appreciate them lying, saying she said stuff she didn't say. And then all of a sudden they were removed from her. And that's how I'm looking at it. I was told it was going to be fixed. It was never fixed. Next thing you know, I had a new social worker because I said I was going to sue them for lying in the paperwork. So then that person, LaToya Low Tolerance Spry, comments. So here it is. She says, facts, 100%. I had the boys over for a year, and when they realized that me and Ryan and Dad had built a bond with one another, remember Ryan and Paprika are one and the same, it seems like it added more fuel to the fire. I tried suing the county, and first of all, no one would even hear my story. Nobody would pick up my case. Then I finally found a lawyer that specializes in CPS, and I was told if I kept pursuing it, it could be looked at as being aggressive. They wouldn't even let me see the boys, and after a year to shut me up, they told me they were being adopted on 2 weeks. I guess in 2 weeks is what she meant, and there was nothing I could do, and that also was a lie. They were not adopted till 2019, and I found this out on day 2 of their disappearance. This is true. The boys were adopted by Trezell and Jacqueline West in April of 2009.
I didn't think she was lying at all.
So now let's look at, this is a post from the bio mom's father. So this is the bio grandfather, maternal. He says, my daughter is not the suspect or culprit in this or any other matter. She has no fault in the total lapse and total mishandling of this entire case presided by Kern County CPS and the West family's incompetence. No one from this family has threatened anyone from the West family. It's disgusting how this family is trying to include my daughter with their incompetence and endangerment of Classic and Sincere. Kern County CPS took my grandbabies from my daughter while the maturity of her case was not completed, due to the negligence of Kern County CPS worker who didn't like my daughter's attitude. While placing my grandbabies with these two incompetent people, the video shown by your neighbor shows you, Trezell, didn't do anything what you told KGET 17 News. The West family, as well as Kern County, is absolutely responsible for everything that's occurring at this point in time concerning my grandbabies. Whatever my daughter did to get her kids taken away by Kern County negligent CPS worker doesn't warrant to the incompetence of Trezell and Jacqueline West. So the accountability of my missing grandbabies strictly lies on the heads of Kern County and the West family. And finally, I would like to read you her sister's post. She says, exactly, my sister has spoken nothing but the truth. Claudia Thomas Robertson. Quote, I have tried to refrain from commenting when I see heartless idiots try to slander my sister and our family. I am the biological auntie of Sincere and Classic, not no damn Orson and Oren. And we tried to get them. Some of us got approved to get them. And then a last-minute decision was made for them to stay where they were. Not because we were unfit, not because we didn't want them, but because a social worker who was placed on the case for all of 5 minutes, quote, felt it was best, end quote. My nephews had a good home with my sister. We come from a good family. Something that happened while my sister was at work is what got them in the system. At the end of the day, it really doesn't matter how they got there, but what the F happened
yes, it
to them
does.
while they were there. Why were a 3- and 4-year-old left to play outside at night? Where are they now? Somebody knows what happened, and the truth will come out. A little background about Trezell and Jacqueline West is that they have 6 kids in their custody. Well, they don't anymore, but at the time they were taking care of 6 kids. They were supposed to be. That's 2 that are their biological kids, 2 that they were fostering at the time, and then the 2 adopted kids that were missing. Also, according to Jacqueline and Trezell, the boys were last seen wearing the same exact thing, which is black sweatshirts and gray sweatpants, that in itself is interesting. And they are described as being 3 feet tall and approximately 30 to 40 pounds. So just itty bitty little things. Also notable on the missing persons flyer, the official one from the official website, is the mention of a fractured knee. It's actually a fractured lower left leg. Sorry, I'm gonna say knee in the next scene. Leg. Regarding this knee, there was a little bit of confusion, and I just want to tell you what I found about it. So the first thing I want to play you is the police being asked about the fractured knee and what they had to say.
On Oren West, listed as a fractured lower left leg. Were you aware about that?
No, fractured leg can happen, especially with small children, any way possible. I mean, they fall down a lot.
Then I tried to do some digging myself to see what was up with the knee, because if you had a fractured knee, I can't imagine them walking. So what I found was, and take this with a grain of salt, but it's a post on Web Sleuths, and this is what it says. Somebody had posted saying, I could see baby Orson following big brother Oren out of the gate on an adventure, but older brother Oren has a fractured leg. Ponder that. And then somebody says, I believe that it's more a scar that the poster is referring to, rather than a current injury, but that's just my guess. Otherwise, I'd have thought it would be mentioned by the adoptive parents and more so the birth mother. Bigger question is, how does a 3- or 4-year-old fracture their leg? Their bones are so pliable at that age unless there's heavy trauma, which that is obviously up for debate. Some people, as you heard the cop said, it's easy, that happens. I also heard that that might have been the injury that caused the bio mom to lose the boy, that coupled with her baby being, premature and very low weight. Maybe they thought she was negligent and that's what led to it, but that's completely a theory. So now I want to fast forward from, the kids being adopted and all that led to it, April 2019. Okay, we have that. We know that they lived in Bakersfield until September. In the beginning, about September 9th, they purchased the house in Cal City. They moved there, you know, nobody saw the kids. And now I want to go to December 19th, 2020, because this is 2 days before the kids are to be reported missing. It is also when we get our first piece of the surveillance footage, the bombshell footage that was obtained by AV Watchmen United We Stand. This guy is amazing, and you know, he has a personal story. He recently, I think like about a year ago, lost his own daughter. And so you could tell this is like very personal for him, and he's out there doing the Lord's work, like searching and you know, he's doing amazing. Please subscribe to him if you haven't. I'm sure you have. But anyway, that's who I got this footage from his channel. Everything will be linked down below, as well as my other sources as usual. All right, so let's talk about December 19th. Now, the thing about December 19th is that Trezell and Jacqueline claim that they took all 6 of the kids that were supposed to be in their custody at this time to Bakersfield to go Christmas shopping. Now, this footage that I'm about to show you, it's a little fuzzy. I tried to like splice it and make it look a little bit clearer and zoomed in, but I want you guys to look and see how many kids you think you see going into this car. Is it 6 kids or is it 4 kids?
December 19th, 11:32 a.m.
Look, he comes out. You see him coming out. Goes, opens that side door again. This little part right here, you'll see the kids jumping in the van right now. So there it goes. That's 1, I believe. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4.
And 4.
And the wife.
And the wife. So he just kind of sort of rushed them in. Did you see that?
Quick.
Now, I know some people said it was clear as day. Other people said that I can't see anything. So, I mean, for me, I tilt my head to the side, and I saw 4. I saw, like, the parents, and then it seemed like he was kind of, come on, single file, very, like, military style, you know what I mean? Which he supposedly has a background. Trezell has a military background, and some people say, you know, he's got anger issues and but I'm getting ahead of myself. So let's assume that only 4 children are taken to this trip in Bakersfield instead of the 6 that he claims were taken to Bakersfield. That would make him a liar in this instance, and that's very suspicious, because why are you lying about having the kids and taking them to a place that you didn't? Okay, why would somebody lie about something like that? The other suspicious thing about all this is the fact that nobody from multiple sources has ever seen the 2 missing boys in Cal City.
People have cameras, police cameras already, check the cameras, and everyone knows have cameras.
No kids.
Neighbors looking at cameras.
No kids.
That was the 20th? Did you see there was no kid outside at all that day either? So no days.
He pretty much never let the kids come out and play. Never.
None of the neighbors have seen the kids.
Ever?
No.
There was never a sighting of the children?
Not that we know of. They've only been here since September.
Was there a sighting of the parents' other children?
Not that I know of.
And even though they were seen in Bakersfield, they were not really seen that much. Listen.
I would send my daughter out to give it to them, and you know, she would knock on the door and they wouldn't open the door. They would just look through the people and they would be like, no thank you, and my daughter would be like, oh, we got juices for you. No, it's okay, no thank you, we don't want them.
Of course they would love to go out, but so during the pandemic we weren't trying to go, you know, out here, and so we stayed inside.
So now let's continue with the timeline. I want to go from the 19th to the 21st of December. That is the day the kids were reported missing.
So, tell us what happened the night the kids went missing.
Okay.
From our yard.
Okay. It was cold. I was gonna make a fire. There's a lot of wood in this area right here next to our house.
This
is the lot. It's like a public empty lot near the house.
I open up the back gate. I'm throwing wood, bringing it inside the house. My wife's inside. She was actually wrapping gifts, so we thought it was a good idea that got our youngest to go outside and play with chalk on the back patio.
So let's look at the facts, okay? On December 21st, at around the time that the footage was taken, this is what the weather was. You can see that it was about 50 to 40 degrees Fahrenheit. That night in Cal City, the sunset was at 4:44 p.m. Now, I know some of you who are not from California, you think 50, 40 degrees, you would go swimming in that weather. But as a Californian, and especially little boys that are from California, that's freezing.
That's freezing cold.
Okay?
Yeah.
So it's all relative, I know.
54.
It is cold.
No, 54 is too cold. You need to be 76 before you get in the ocean. 76 degrees in the air. If it's 54 degrees out, you're going to fucking freeze to death pretty much right quick.
To us. So now let's talk.
See, I know I'm from Cal. I'm not from Cali, but I lived there for 5 years and shit. I lived in Ranchos Palos Verdes and fucking San Pedro and Torrance and shit right after Torrance Beach and fucking Huntington Beach.
The firewood, right? Because.
Yep. And like 54 is death. 64 is death. 74 is like, I'm fucking freezing, but it's fun. I'm still here. 84 is a nice day. 94 is like, thank God it's summer. I'm out here. Let's fuck my wife or whatever. Like, yeah, but like 54 is like death. It's like death. I would not do it.
He said he was gathering the firewood, and my first thought was, well, they have solar panels on the home. Like, what all is their energy source? What is their heating source? So I looked up the home on Zillow, and it turns out they have electric forced air heating, which that type of heating does not require firewood, okay? A forced air system usually uses, natural gas, propane, oil, electricity.
Yeah, I have a forced air system, yeah.
To heat the home.
Which means that, like, I don't need, like, some kind of central heating system. I can just plug a propane tank into my central air system, forced air.
Okay, and then the air is heated in the furnace and distributed throughout your house via ductwork. However, I do have to say that in looking at the photographs of the home, they do have a fireplace. You can look at the picture right here. There is a fireplace. So, in all fairness, maybe they were trying to save money. Maybe they wanted a cozy fire. I don't know. It's not out of the realm of possibility that he was gathering firewood for a fire and that was true. Now, we can also look at the area because I went there and I have that footage. A lot of people have gone there. The desert isn't known for firewood, although there were twigs and, like tumbleweeds and branches there. So, theoretically you could do, start a fire with that. So we'll leave that where it is. So now let's talk about the premise, right? That in order for them to wrap the gifts in secrets, they had to put the kids outside in the cold. Let's look at some more pictures of their home. Because yes, a lot of people are saying, 6 children in 3 bedrooms. Oh my God. But remember, and I got this wrong in my last video and I corrected it in the pinned comment. The other kids were not there. According to them, the other kids were at their grandparents on a vacation, right? So there's only 2 kids in the house and there are 2 parents in the house and there are 3 bedrooms as well as bathrooms. Look at all the different places that the kids could have been supervised while the other parent was wrapping the gifts. I just find it very odd that they would choose to put 3 and 4-year-old children in a desert night playing with chalk while he's grabbing firewood when they didn't need to grab firewood and they didn't need to put the kids outside. I'm just saying. Also, talking a little bit about the house, I found a post on social media where people were saying that this used to be a grow house. Now, California City, it is zoned. Like I forget the zoning type, but it is zoned like for growing. So there are a lot of grow houses in California City. There's a dispensary there. Remember, they are the ones who are offering the reward and did a search party, blah, blah, blah. So it's not like a odd or strange thing that a home used to be a grow home and then it gets converted. But the reason why I'm mentioning this is because according to this comment, they're saying here, someone changed it. It was a grow house for a while, and the garage in the back was separated and turned into 2 rooms. In the garage, there's a room attached to the inside of the garage that looks like a door leading outside, but it's a room. I call it a room. And then somebody else says, whoa, I almost bought that home. There is a hidden room in the garage and 2 additional rooms out back. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning this is because that's another area that the kids could have been hidden away from the gifts, but not in the cold out there with the gate open. Do you know what I'm saying? There were other options that made more sense, which again makes their story, what? Suspicious. My conspiracy. Right? The next part of their story is the chalk. Okay, I want to talk about the playing with chalk thing. Okay, first of all, I went there and I didn't see any chalk. However, I will say, I was not out there, you know, a day after, a few days. I was out there a little bit after that, after New Year's. So maybe it was cleaned, it was wiped. You know, the fact that I didn't see chalk there doesn't mean that there wasn't chalk there. However, I looked online and I found aerial shots of when the police were searching their yard, and that was very shortly after they were missing. And guess what? No chalk, no toys, no sign of any children playing there. It doesn't look like anybody did anything other than him and his wife sit out there, because there's only 2 chairs, and that's it. So, also, I checked the weather to see if it rained. It doesn't really rain much in the desert, and it didn't rain between when the kids were playing with chalk and when the footage was taken, which showed there was no chalk. I think they were lying, and there was no chalk, there were no kids, nobody was playing there. Again, my conspiracy. All right, so now I want to play you some more interview footage and surveillance footage that contradict each other. The best way to illustrate this for you guys is I have edited the interview, what they're saying, and I've cross-referenced it with the security footage that was obtained by AV Watchman United We Stand from the neighbor's home. And I want you guys to watch this. You're gonna see what they say, you're gonna see the footage, you're gonna see, and it is just like back to back to back, so suspicious. They are caught in a lie, in more than one lie, actually. Listen.
Do not let them go on the dirt in the backyard. Keep them close. They was playing with chalk, and I came in the house, I saw them there. I went in the house, I came back out.
You weren't attacking?
I immediately went back in, asked my wife, did you see the boys? She said no, they should be outside playing with chalk. I said, well, I didn't see them, so I came back outside and I started searching my backyard. I searched the whole thing.
Right here, that's the gate that he said was open, and he was walking in and out of that gate, I guess throwing firewood. There he is. You guys can see him walking there. What time is that at? It's at 16:13. Yeah, right now we're at 16:20.
He's still back there. You can see him still back there doing, I don't know what.
No, look, we're able to see him. We could have seen the kids too, bro. They were in the backyard. He's claiming that they vanished from the rear.
Right there at the 28 mark, the light in the front is not even on yet.
And we haven't seen no kids leave out that rear. Even if we did, we would have seen them come out to the front. Boom, the light just
damn it
out to the van. On the side of the van.
I would figure he would come out right here.
God damn it.
Yeah, hell yeah. They would have been out there screaming and yelling.
But they
bro.
said they searched the backyard.
No one.
God damn it.
It's been 15 minutes since he went in the house. He went in at like the 14 mark, right?
Yep.
Supposedly he ransacked the house and then ransacked the yard. But we haven't seen him ransack the yard at all.
I realized that I left the gate open, and I panicked, came inside the house, searched the house, me and my wife. Once that hadn't pan out, I got in the van. I looked down the street, both directions. It was getting dark, getting cold, and I got in the van and I hit a bunch of corners.
So that's what, 15 minutes?
Yeah.
There was a light. There was a light blinking on the van.
Yeah, there you go.
There it is. Doors open.
He's in no rush.
Yeah, like if you're gonna run to jump in your car to take off, why would you sit it from the passenger side? Like, you know how hard it is to like jump over the center console, like, right? You're rushing, like.
Yeah.
It's kind of,
Yeah, it's hella suspect.
Yeah, but he never went walking down the street at all.
no, he didn't even walk to the front of the street to see if they're on the.
He didn't go back into the rear to look for him. Nowhere.
You look behind the side of the car, like maybe they're on the other side of the car. Just.
Yeah.
You didn't sit from that side.
At the end of the road over here, it tees off to what, an open road, or is that the main road? When you go back like this way, from back like heading towards the road this way?
Yeah. So he left at 16:33 and he's back by 16:38.
Look how fast he's coming back. He's punching it, bro.
Yeah, he's moving.
Look at that. He's from that street to here in what was that, 3 seconds?
Yeah.
4 seconds?
Hey, back. Done.
I went down this street, I turned my light on, I searched, I called their names. Talked to a gentleman on the street on the other side over there, he didn't see them. So then I came home and I told my wife, we need to call the cops. It's getting dark and I need help, we gotta get going. So I called the cops.
So this is another suspicious thing. His story kind of doesn't make sense because he says, you know, he looked, the kids were there, he looked again, they weren't there. He panicked, he noticed the gate was open, and he decides to run back in the house. That doesn't make sense, right? Because think about it, you know, like I had an experience where I left a gate open and my dog went out. When I called the dog and realized the dog wasn't inside and the gate was open, the last thing I would do was go in the house where it's fine if they're in the house. You want to go to where it's not okay for them to be to make sure they're not there, right? So the first thing I did when I'm like, oh my God, and my dog got out, I immediately went out of the gate and went where I thought the dog was. And lo and behold, my dog was chasing a rabbit. And long story short, that's what I did. This doesn't make any sense that he would see the gate being open. He would panic thinking they left out of the gate, but then he would go look for them inside. Right? Or am I missing something? Maybe I'm missing something. I don't know. Let me know. The next thing I noticed is a time discrepancy in the timeline. And this could be a simple error, but I want to mention it because when you look at the timestamps on the surveillance footage, everything is sort of happening at around 4:30, 4:45. That's also the same time that Trezell and Jacqueline say everything happened in terms of when they noticed the kids missing and when they called the police and everything like that. But then the officer says that they got a call at 5:45.
The 21st of December, we got a call to this location about 5:45 p.m.
At what time did you guys notice your kids went missing? And at what time were they reported missing to the police?
It's about, I think it was about 4:30, going on 5, it was getting dark like I said.
5-ish.
5-ish. That's about it. That's when everything played out.
When did you guys call the police to report them missing?
After we searched
yeah,
a little bit around here, it was dark, so we definitely we got worried.
Would you say it was maybe within an hour, a couple hours?
No, it was within minutes of us getting finished with our search. Okay. It was within minutes.
Comes, opens the door, gets out, goes in front of his house, and just stands there, bro. You know what I mean?
He's not looking for no kids, bro.
So what happens is he pretty much stands there right in front of his house for about another 5 to 6 minutes.
Cops came. First thing they did was tell us to stay in the house so they can get a hold of us.
So 4:52 now, right?
Right there.
Right. Okay, here comes the cops.
Officer pulling up to the scene. So look.
Yeah, the fence. The FBI has it.
He's gonna look at him. He kind of hesitated, then he went. I don't know if you did figure. I've seen that. Then his wife hesitated, so now he goes and he tells the cops, and that's his wife walking in the back.
I'm not quite sure if this is just a slip of the tongue, or it could also be something to do with the cameras. Maybe it was daylight savings, or when there's an hour back. You know how that is when there's an hour spring forward, whatever it's called. Yeah. So maybe that's what it is. But then
daylight savings.
If the footage was wrong, then Trezell and Jacqueline would be an hour off in what they're saying. I think it's more likely the cop potentially misspoke and said 5:45 when he meant to say 4:45. I don't know. I would love to know what you guys think about that, because maybe I'm missing something. But I did notice a discrepancy in the timeline, and so I wanted to mention it. Okay, let's talk about the next suspicious thing, and that is that Trezell and Jacqueline did not join the search for their kids. Now, there's another discrepancy with this too, and they were caught in a lie, because they claim when they went and did their interview, they said that they were told by police not to search, that they weren't allowed to search.
And they had us just sitting there, and we wanted to keep searching. But everybody came out in droves, and I wanted to thank you guys that night, but we couldn't go outside.
The cops told us the best are out here.
The best are out here searching.
But if you look at the footage, you'll see that right after the cops come, Trezell gets in his car, and he does the same exact search that he did right before they came. The same path and everything. But he's claiming that as soon as they came, they told them to stay inside. No, they were searching, and they let you search.
So the cop takes off, searching too, I'm doing this. So he hops back in his car when the cop pulls up, right? But he was just standing around before that. So he comes out the same way how he pulled in, he came out the same. Look what he does. What he's doing, bro. Look what he does. Exact same. Look what he does.
Then I thought, okay, well, it is possible that later on they were told to stay inside, because maybe they were seen as suspects, and maybe the police were like, let's make sure they're not out there tampering or interfering with the search. So that may well be true. But the footage proves that right when the police came, they did not stop them from searching like Trezell said they did. Hear me out, okay? This is what I think. I think that they did not want to deal with the community. They did not want to deal with them, asking them, how could you leave them outside? How could you leave them in the cold? Everything, because the community was not shy about asking the tough questions, which I'm glad they weren't. And look, they got a taste of it when they went to do the interview. And even Jackie herself said that this is why she didn't want to come out and search and talk to them.
It's crazy because y'all say y'all came out looking for the kids, and y'all got neighbors that say y'all even came out looking for no kids. The neighbors weren't out here.
We were looking.
We were looking.
If you guys actually have that question, you should ask the police officer. That's one of the reasons why we actually didn't want to do this.
This is the reason why.
Because the Bio family.
It's irresponsible, left the gate open, left some little kids outside with the gate open.
All right.
I feel like, the whole search, like that was just a show. I think Trezell did it as a show. I don't think he was real. I mean, I've searched for my dog. I've searched for an earring more thoroughly than he searched for his children. It was so weird that he spent more time waiting for the police than he did searching for his kids when it was in the crucial moments. How could you just sit there? Unless you knew that they weren't there and you were just waiting so that you could tell your story, playing everything in your head, calming your nerves, getting yourself together. And the other thing, let's talk about Jacqueline. Let's talk about her, because you don't ever see her at all. She doesn't search. She doesn't really come out of the house except when their cops are there. She barely talks, and then when she does talk, she's stuttering over her words, she's stumbling. Her whole thing, I don't know if he is like controlling everyone and she's afraid of him and she's going along with it, or if she did something, or if they both, I don't know. But it's just, as a mother, and I'm using quotations here, I don't understand her behavior, and it's very suspicious that she was not seen at all on the footage in the backyard, in the front, looking. I mean, you would think they would be, the house isn't that big for them to search all that time. And the gate was open. So, you know, when he's in the car, how come she's not out on this side? I mean, sorry, I'm getting too like excitable. It is now Monday night, right? This is the day the kids went missing, and the people are searching, right? Trezell and Jacqueline are not, but the community's searching, the cops are searching, and they have canines. I want to talk about the canines.
At what point do you guys decide to bring out dogs to try to help out in this investigation?
Done that. It's been done multiple times.
And the canines consistently found that the scent of the children did not leave the house?
Correct.
If their scent was just even a bit outside of the home, would they actually follow that scent?
Generally, yes.
The fact that the scent hit inside the house does not necessarily mean that their kids were actually physically there. Their belongings, such as their clothes, their toys, whatever, could still have residual scent on them, which the dogs would pick up, okay? Also, it could very well be that the kids were inside the house and they did go missing that day or sometime, but that they actually were in Cal City, but nobody saw them. That's also possible, and that would explain why the dogs hid. Now, why didn't the dogs hid outside? The first thing that everyone's thinking is because the kids were never outside. They weren't allowed to come outside. Nobody saw them outside. There's no sign of them outside. They weren't outside. Now, if we want to give them the benefit of the doubt and we want to explore all options, which I like to do, you know, there's a lot of wind, you know, dogs are, you know, dog error, is there such a thing like human error? I don't know. It's possible.
It's possible.
What is it as well? Suspicious.
I think I want something with some cream cheese. I'll be right back.
So now it's Tuesday afternoon, and Trezell and Jacqueline West are taken in for questioning. According to the police, they are cooperating. According to witnesses, they went willingly. They did not see any handcuffs on them, and it appears that they were questioned and they were released, and they were not named suspects at the time. However, that same night that they were taken in for questioning, cops came back to their home with a search warrant. Now, Trezell was saying, I don't know why they needed a search warrant. We let them in and we gave them all our tech and they searched and everything like that. But they came in with a search warrant, you know, just in case. And this is what they did when they got there. They took several items from the house in brown bags. They even took a duffel bag. As we know, they took their phones and they towed the vehicle. The next suspicious thing is that the police themselves suspect foul play.
I can't comment on that, whether I think they're alive or not. I do suspect foul play, but I
You
can't.
suspect foul play in this case.
We have no way of knowing how they got out of the yard. Nothing that shows how they got out of the yard and if they wandered out of the yard. We haven't been able to put together, how the boys got out of the yard or where they've gone.
As a matter of fact, they are so suspicious of these parents, even though they're not naming them suspects, that they took all of their kids out of the house.
The other 4 kids are in protective custody right now, yes.
Have you questioned them at all?
I can't comment on that right now. Anytime anything happens in a household where it involves any kids, all the kids are taken out of the household.
You have a lot of missing, persons cases in Bakersfield, and when a parent
This guy's good at his job.
missing, the other kids aren't taken away from them.
If there's any kind of...
I don't trust him, but I think he's good at his job.
Where there's been any kind of neglect, any kind of harm to any of the children, we automatically have to take all the other kids out of the house.
To me, even though the police are refusing to name them as suspects because maybe they want them to get comfortable, they don't want them to tighten up and hide things and make moves and, because then they'll get comfortable, they might make a mistake, they might, allow something to happen that could solve the case. So just because they're saying they're not suspects doesn't mean they're not looking at them as suspects, they're just not officially declaring it. However, the fact that they take all the children out of the home and saying that they suspect foul play is very telling, and in fact it speaks volumes. Actions speak louder than what? Words. Let's get back to the timeline. Now it's Wednesday afternoon. The kids have been missing for 2 days, and the major thing happens on this day, and that is the interview, the infamous interview with Trezell and Jacqueline West. What also happens that day? Cops come back again to search. You know what else they did that day? That is the day that they dug up the yard.
How extensive was the digging in the backyard?
Fairly extensive.
Anything useful turn up?
No.
The funny thing is that they themselves admit that they are suspicious, that they look suspicious, and that if they were in the bio mom's position, they would suspect them too.
This is the first time we're hearing from you guys, and I can't imagine what you guys are going through. I can't even fathom it. For you guys, for people who are thinking that there's some kind of foul play involved, we just spoke to the biological mother. She says she had a conversation with you guys, and that she thinks there's some kind of foul play involved, that she thinks you guys did something.
And that's understandable.
What's your response to that?
That's understandable. I would think the same thing.
Yep.
They know their story is weird and doesn't make sense, and I think that they're going with it because you know what? The truth is much worse. So, about this position that he was in, I want to talk about that a little bit because I mentioned it in my first video and most people were like, yeah, that's so weird. Some people were like, well, he didn't have a jacket on, maybe he's cold. People are saying, well, compare him to Chris Watts. Chris Watts was, doing this and it's self-soothing and blah, blah, blah. And then other people were like, well, what if it's defensive wounds? Maybe there are cuts or wounds or things that may have happened to his hands when he was committing a crime against these kids, and that's why he was hiding it. But if you think about whether this happened recently or something happened much, like in September or something like that in Bakersfield, that doesn't really make sense. Let me know, what do you guys think about this? Is it normal? Is it weird? He could have not worn a jacket on purpose because she had one, so that his hands being like that were not as suspicious as they really are. I don't know, I could be reaching. Now I want to get into the theories because there are, I would say, 3 main theories. So the first theory is, the adoptive parents did something to the kids, whether it's hurt them, sell them, something. The other theory is, a kidnapping. Could it be the bio family kidnapped them? Could it be stranger danger type of situation? And the third theory is that, the kids really were there. They somehow wandered off and they just vanished. I want to start with the Bakersfield theory. They either did something violent, maybe he flew into a rage, or maybe it was something like he sold them or they sold them, in Bakersfield. The first thing that's leading to this theory is obviously the fact that nobody has seen the kids in Cal City at all. They did something and they moved locations and decided to report it at a totally different location to throw everyone off. I went to Bakersfield by myself, unprepared. I thought it was going to be a search party. It wasn't. And then I don't know, somebody lied to me and told me I was a detective and I thought I was doing something. I didn't do anything. AV Watchman, on the other hand, he had a person with him and a camera, like a good setup and everything, which was amazing because he managed to get in there and talk to a neighbor. And this neighbor said, you know, that not only did he not see them, but they had like a parking spot that was more, you know, obvious, but they chose a discreet area to park.
They had their parking spot right here, but I don't know why they would park back there. The guy used to drive like a big, long white van, and they would always park back there. They would just, as soon as, like I said, when we would come out sometimes, if they were to see us, they would kind of either backtrack, kind of back into the apartment, or if we would come out, they would kind of try to rush out that way.
And then he talked about this weird stick.
The dude, because he always used to walk out here with a stick, and I remember because I always thought that he was into martial arts and stuff like that. He looked like a little fit guy, and it was like a brown stick that he used to walk around with. But he would just, like I said, he would walk around here, and then like I just assumed it was martial arts because he was always kind of spinning it. It was just a wooden stick, you know.
Speaking of the stick and potential violence and all that, I want to talk about some pictures that I found, and it's so sad, but I found pictures of the boys. Some were ones that the bio mom posted where they look happy. Well, it was just one kid, but he looked really happy. And then there were other pictures from when they were, you know, not with the bio mom and were with, you know, the Wests. And they don't look very happy. And also, I don't know if it's the lighting, but it looked like there might have been some bruising and a cut. Then again, they're kids. This could have happened on accident. But, you know, when you look at the situation now, it starts to look a little bit different, you know? When I heard about the stick and I saw the pictures of these kids and all that, I remembered this whole weird thing of the rambunctious thing. And there was a moment in the interview at the end when the interviewer asked them to kind of like freeball it, right? He's like, well, what do you want to say about the boys?
What kind of boys are these? Tell us about the boys.
Very playful, very rambunctious, and they do love to wrestle. They do love to kind of get rough with each other.
Kids.
They're kids.
So he does the rambunctious thing, which we know the first time he was like, they're gonna be rambunctious. They're gonna be around here.
They are going to be rambunctious, okay? They are going to be here in this area.
To me, and this is a theory, why is he making a point to say they're rough, they wrestle, they're rambunctious? Are you trying to explain away potential bruising that we might see if we find them? I don't know. So this is the next thing I want to talk about, the whole thing about the skill saw. So when I went to their home in Cal City and I spoke to the guy across the street, he told me about the skill saw.
Neighbors say here on the afternoons, somebody worked with that skill saw.
Then I also remembered a post that I saw from the bio mom talking about sawdust. So first of all, if you don't know what a skill saw is, here's a picture of it. It's, you know, a saw.
There it is. When I say circular saw,
why would all the bottles
I've always said circular saw because that's what I think of this saw. I don't know anything about these saws. I don't fuck with saws. This is the fucking saw that the man tried to kill me with. I'd love to dox him right now because I know his real name. But like, yeah, anyways, this was what he saw through the front door of my fucking house in the squad I was in while I was on the phone with 911. And it was terrifying. This shit's fucking terrifying when you see it because it'll fuck you up. It'll just chop you in half.
She posts, they did something. Why would all the bottles of liquor be in y'all trash can and a bag of sawdust? Y'all was already preparing to call the police, so y'all cleaned out the house.
She sounds like she doesn't know.
She's saying that you guys had this whole thing planned. It wasn't a frantic, oh my God, last minute calling the police. We don't have time to clean up the house. No. They made sure to make the house look good, make themselves look like fit parents who aren't drinking a lot of liquor, because if you are saying the kids are missing, inevitably they're going to want to come and search your house. And then
who are drinking a lot of liquor.
Sawdust. You know, if you're sawing something with a skill saw, you're going to have sawdust. What was he sawing, and is it significant? I'm not sure, but it's one of these things where I don't know what it means, but it might be something, it might not, so I mention it now, maybe later on it turns into something. Okay, so let's talk about the next theory. This is the, you know, abduction, selling, trafficking theory. The police chief was asked if there's a human trafficking issue in Cal City.
Has there been a human trafficking issue in Cal City or recent cases?
Not that I'm aware of.
But remember, something could have happened in Bakersfield as well. I did some digging, and turns out Bakersfield has a pretty big human trafficking problem. I found an article from October 2020, and I want to read you a part of it. 3 billboards went up on Union Avenue to raise awareness of human trafficking, which has been on the rise in Kern County during the pandemic. Kern was already a cesspool for traffickers before the pandemic, as one of the few counties in the state without a law enforcement-led task force. The laws are not as strict here, Bennett said. So, despite COVID, there's been an uptick of people buying and people being sold. Then I found another article, and this is what it says. It says the KC, so that's Kern County, DHS, has received more than 200 reports of local children involved in human trafficking over the past few years. Quote, human trafficking is still very prevalent in Kern County because of our location and our demographics. And I found another article, and this is what it said. According to Polaris, the nonprofit in charge of the National Human Trafficking Hotline, Kern County has one of the highest concentrations of trafficking in our nation. And that led me to wonder about money. So when I did a background check on Trezell, it said that he was an entrepreneur, and when I looked into it, it seemed like he had an album, like he was trying to do music, and his dog looks just like my dog Diesel, which was like kind of weird. And then also it seemed like he may have had some sort of ice cream business to do with his vehicle. Then I found a post about Venmo transactions that Trezell made around the time he moved into the home and around the time the kids went missing. So first of all, the home was sold for almost $200,000, $197,000. In this Venmo transaction post that I found, it shows here that on June 17th, 2020, there was, he paid someone for home inspection. Then October 6th, 2020, so this is about a month after he moves into the home. So you would think, his first month mortgage, payment is due. He has a loan payment, and then about 20 something days after that, he does another payment, loan, and then a month later, a little bit more than that. So it looks like maybe that payment was a little early on the 29th, and then December 1st, again, loan. The reason why I'm telling you all this is the theory is that they sold the kids, they used that money to buy the house, and that, that's why they did it. I don't know, they went from an apartment to a house. For Jackie, I couldn't find anything, what she does for work. If you guys were able to find, please let me know. So let's talk about the next theory, and that is kidnapping. That somebody other than Trezell and Jacqueline is responsible for this, whether it be the Bio family or a stranger, and so I wanted to look into that. Let's talk about the mother. The mother joined the search. She seemed to be very emotional.
I just had to be here because my babies are supposed to be missing from this house. I just need to be right here, right now. I never thought that I would be in this situation.
I don't know if she did kidnap them, then they would be hiding somewhere with other people, but it seems like a lot of her family was there. People were there with her. I don't know. I couldn't really find anything that made her look like she's the one who took the kids. I want to show you some facts regarding the theory that a stranger could have done something, because I did a search, 2 different searches on 2 different websites, and the results were depressing in both. So this is from the Megan's Law website. I mean, I don't know what you would consider a lot, but to me, 1 is too many. But you can see here the black house, that's where the house is, and all the blue dots around them are offenders, and then all the red ones are offender in violation. This is the one I did from the background search, and again it shows the address here, Aspen Ave. You can see the address is in blue, and the ones in red are all of the offenders. Oh, don't read the descriptions of what they did. You will throw up in your mouth. So there is no shortage of creeps in the area. The interesting thing about this theory is that this is a theory that Jackie, and I'm sure Trezell as well, really want you to believe.
What do you think happened to your boys? Do you think someone took them? Do you think they're lost? Do you think?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely know they're not walking around. They're not that kind. They do not just roam around.
It's weird because I don't see spite or weirdness in her eyes.
You know, these patches, they definitely, I think definitely would have been picked up or something.
That was my assumption.
And now we have the final theory, and that is the one that is, in my opinion, the least likely, but let's talk about it. This theory is that the kids wandered off. According to the police chief, this is highly unlikely.
Have you guys started combing through the desert yet?
No, it's been my experience, especially with small children, you always start from the inside out.
It's always circling back to them, to Trezell and Jacqueline. It's so depressing that the best case scenario is that they're, alive and sold? Is that even a best case scenario for them to be with some doing God? I don't know. So I just pray that they're okay, and if they're
Me too.
no longer with us, at least they're at peace. They lived such a long life for being so young. You know what I mean? Please let me know what you guys think. If you like what you see, subscribe. If not, don't. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.
It's 1932. You're a young, poverty-stricken, working-class German with a starving family. You haven't had a job for months. Your savings have been...
Oh my God, it's so close to true, but 100 years later. Oh my God, this is like my life.
You're about to be evicted. You fought and saw the unimaginable during the First World War. 2 million of your countrymen, that's men you and your family often knew, died, sometimes horrifically. 1.5 million disabled veterans struggle to survive up and down the country. Addiction, alcoholism, prostitution, suicide, they're all...
So familiar.
Germany has been made to sign a humiliating peace treaty, pay unreasonable and economically devastating reparations to America, Britain and France, and cede territory on all of its borders. Then, to top it off, the Great Depression hits. Liberalism and democracy are failing. Hyperinflation reaches 1,000% per month. Even money is becoming worthless. Election after election fail to reach a majority, and Parliament, that's the Reichstag, is unable to govern. Conservatives, liberals, communists, authoritarians, the church, the army, they're all competing for power. Moral values and attitudes are blurred too. Religious belief continues to decline. Women's liberation sweeps Europe. Morals loosen. The jazz scene hits. To many, though, all of this depravity seems to be contributing to what's happening. Germany is at risk of extinction. Enter Adolf Hitler. Charming, charismatic, seemingly brilliant. After being elected in 1933, he quickly revitalizes the German economy. Problem after problem seem to be miraculously fixed. You get a job, roads are built, reparations are halted. A wave of euphoria sweeps across the nation. Life in Germany becomes good again. Why? Because Hitler and the National Socialists stand firmly against all the things that were causing its destruction. The greedy capitalists, godless communists, determined to overthrow the state, vindictive enemy countries abroad, and an enemy within that connects all of these things, that's responsible for them all, that wants you dead, the Jews. For almost 10 years, you're surrounded by anti-Semitic propaganda and conspiracy theory. The Jews control Wall Street, Hollywood, America, Britain,
Bullshit.
the Soviet Union.
Bullshit. White people control all of that.
Threaten to take all of it away from you, all those things you've gained. You're too old to fight in the army, but you're drafted into the reserve police force. One morning, on duty in occupied Poland, you're roused from your bed and are driven to a nearby village. Your commander, Major Wilhelm Trapp, known to you affectionately as Papa Trapp, is pale-faced, has a choking, shaky voice and tears in his eyes. He informs you of your orders. Remember, he says, back home, bombs are falling on your wives and daughters too. The Jews in the village were involved with the partisans, the enemy. It's us or them. They must be rounded up and taken to the work camp. But those not able to work, women, children, the elderly, must, unfortunately, be shot. Trapp makes you an offer. You can be excused from this task if you wish. You look briefly at your friends, but don't take up the offer. Instead, you step forward, take the men, women, and children into the forest, order them onto the ground, aim, and pull the trigger. 2 million men, women, and children would be murdered this way, and at least 4 million more in the death camps and gas chambers. And statistically speaking, you would become a murderer in that way too. You would participate in the Holocaust. What drives ordinary, everyday people to become mass killers? Men and women, but usually men, like you and me. The Holocaust was not perpetrated solely by a few sadistic psychopaths, but by tens of thousands of everyday Germans, Poles, Frenchmen, Austrians, Slovakians. In fact, much of Europe took part. If any of us could be motivated under the right conditions to become mass serial killers, how can we protect against the threat? How might we inoculate our societies and cultures from descending into genocide? One estimate puts the number of victims of genocide and democide, that's murder by government, at 169 million in the 20th century alone. Stalin, Mao, the Khmer Rouge, Rwanda, the Congo, Armenia. What's undeniable is that we're a disturbingly violent species. And there are even more distressing questions. What makes the 20th century the most advanced century in history, the most genocidal too? As the journalist Mark Bowden has put it, the Holocaust disturbs us so much because none of the things we associate with modern civilization, peace, industry, technology, education, frees us from the dark side of the human soul. He said that just as there is evil at the heart of every man, there is evil at the heart of even the most civilized human society. And the German philosopher Jürgen Habermas has said that a veil of naivety was torn up with the Holocaust. Something happened that was unimaginable until then. It ended the optimism of what seemed like the inexorable progress of Western Enlightenment. I want to focus on a kind of inoculation against that kind of evil, a moral vaccine. As social psychologist Thomas Blass puts it this way: what psychological mechanism transformed the average and presumably normal citizens of Germany and its allies into people who would carry out or tolerate unimaginable acts of cruelty?
Okay, guys, it has been some time. I'm not really sure how long because I have a separation in my videos here today, but it has been something like 13, 14 hours. I'm going to stop. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, I walked today from 2 till 4, so I know that, yeah, I mean, I know it's been something like 14 hours. I love you guys. We'll see you tomorrow morning, sometime during the day, somewhere around like 12 or something like that, I think. 12:30. I don't really know. I love you guys. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you later. Just a reminder, you've been watching Skycat Live. My website is skycat.live. I am a full-time variety gamer all day, every day. And I watch content and provide content, reaction content and such. And I have some music stuff and some real life stuff. And I love you guys. Thank you so much for your time. Come click on the cast face to donate. I'm going to bed. I'm tired. Y'all have an excellent day. I love you guys. Bye. Bye. Get away.